Rays are in this invisible part of the spectrum called infrared. And within that, the high energy infrared is called near infrared. And actually, 70% of the sun's power we absorb is in that narrow band. So most of our experience with sunlight is in the wavelengths that we don't see. But those are the ones that nourish our mitochondria and activate light therapy effects and also heat us radiantly. That's why when you go out in the sun, you feel this slow inner warmth. That's radiant heat. And ultimately, it's like things are happening at the cellular level. It's bringing the mitochondrial proteins together. But basically, heat also liquefies everything. It makes everything flow better. And our bodies are designed to be flowing and not stagnant. And the third thing that I'd like to mention today is presence. Presence is so important to our way of being, our reality, our health. When we're disembodied and we're running on automation and we're doing things automatically without any intention, without any presence, we're very limited in our ability to evolve and our ability to benefit and gain and get value from like whatever we're doing. And we all know this when we're trying to be with our partner or our son or our daughter, and we're like our mind's distracted. We're not communicating well. We're not present. We're not effective. We're not being ourselves. So being present in the here and now is very much a practice of returning to your authentic self. And so like in the sauna, you can mentalize the sauna experience. You go in there and you turn the timer on and you get your rotations in, you get your sweat on and you're done and you can kind of check that box. Or you can go into it with presence, with intention. And while you're in there, feel the light entering your body. Feel your blood circulating, through your veins and feel how your body is like activating. And when you do that, just like with anything else, the effects are amplified. And so presence is it's not just in our wellness practice, it's really in our whole life. Everything is comes down to presence. That's what we're when we are training our mind, we're trying to train our mind to be able to control our attention. And our attention is equal to our presence. Where is our attention? Is it here now, or is it about something that happened 20 minutes ago, or is it something like far in the future? If we're doing that, our attention is not present in the present moment. And sauna and light both really help us remember how to be present. The light is and sauna are both very grounding. They're very centering into your presence, into your body. You can return to feeling your body again. And when you're in that present feeling, that state of presence, you're as open as possible to whatever you're engaging with, whether it's your colleague at work or it's the light and heat coming into your body if you're using a sauna space sauna. So I'd like to now guide everybody through a really cool practice called the inner smile. So I'd like you to go ahead, close your eyes for a moment, gently. Take a slow breath in through your nose and exhale softly. Now let your face soften. Relax your jaw. Drop your shoulders. Now bring a gentle smile to your lips, a fun smile. Don't force it, just a subtle, beautiful, natural smile. Now imagine that smile moving inward. Smile into your brain, softening your mind. Now into your heart, warming your chest. Now into your lungs and into your liver. Now smile into your gut. And now smile into your limbs and your fingers and your toes. And smile into your eyes and your ears and your nose. And now smile into the very cells themselves. Smile into every cell of your body. And feel how each cell is touched by that smile. Let your whole body feel like it's receiving light, warmth, and kindness from within. This is where the healing begins, not from doing more, but from relating differently to your body. Okay, now you can open your eyes. Wasn't that fun? Now, here are a few ways you can start working with light and heat right now, today. First thing, morning light exposure. Get the sunlight into your eyes and skin as early as possible, and also before you're exposed to any blue light from your phone, from your indoor lights. If you have any source of light at all, let it be sunlight. This will set your circadian rhythm and your hormones, your energy systems for the day. It also reminds you that you are a being of light. And if you don't have the sunlight, you can use a sauna space firelight, a glow, or a sauna space hearth, or the sauna space firelight sauna. So practice number 2, sauna with presence. When you get in the sauna, no phones, no distractions, no books. Just slow your breath, do box breathing or diaphragmatic breathing, and feel your body. You're not just sitting in the sauna in your body, you're building this relationship with it. Another practice that's really cool is called tantric presence practice. And this is where at any moment throughout the day, you take like 10 or 15 seconds and you pick one thing in your environment. It could be a falling leaf or a cloud or your dog. And you take 15 seconds and you put 100%, 1,000% of your intention toward that. And then you let go. This is a way of snapping your mind and your reality out of automation mode. Where we get into automation mode, we brew our coffee, we slam it down, we head out to work. Everything is like we're just going through this routine. When we use these tantric micro practices, we remind ourselves to be present. That, oh yeah, we can control our attention and we can put it wherever we want it to. And over time, you'll find that if you continue to do this, you'll just be more present, and it's easy to do. So 10 or 15 seconds. And it's a very much, if you do it right, it can very much like totally reset your nervous system, especially if you're doing something stressful, something was irritating you, just take that 15 seconds. Yeah. And the last thing is to slow down. It's a shocking concept. So speak slower, breathe slower, chew your food slower, do everything kind of slowed down, not quite in slow-mo, but slowish. And when you do this, your nervous system will like really thank you. It'll be really happy with you, because our reactivity to stress and how we respond to stress is one of the biggest determinants of longevity and health. So longevity, it's not just about living longer. We really should be using the phrase health span. We want the years of our life that we're healthy to increase and be long. And it's all about embodiment and getting out of the mind. There's nothing to think about and there's nothing to plan. It's all about getting into the body, being present, and remembering, wow, light and heat are such powerful tools to stay healthy, to stay embodied, to stay present, and to refine ourselves, to ultimately transform ourselves. That's why I love talking about body, mind, and spirit in that order. First, we cleanse our body and our mind becomes clear. And with that clarity of mind, we can completely transform our reality to a reality more aligned with our authentic self. So hopefully in all of this, you have received my invitation to come back into the relationship with yourself, to be embodied, to be empowered, to be here. Thank you.
Honey, we're literally doing a live.
Oopsie. Guess what I'm doing? I'm embodying what Brian just shared with us. See, again, this is one of those tools that we find to be essential. We have the sauna at our house, And we also have this light even when we travel, so that way we keep it with us. And you know, I've never gotten such an insane sweat like from the sauna space. I mean, I can't even really be there longer than 10 minutes. And I think that's what's so important. And a lot of people, you know, they are concerned about the studies being in a high heat sauna temperatures. But when you look into the study, it's actually the quantity of sweat, like how much, you know, how many gallons or how many liters you are sweating. That's the key when it comes to the results. And so you can actually sweat way more, way faster with Sauna Space, which is why we use it, why we bring it to you. Because again, the high heat sauna can have a lot of negative impacts as well, especially for men, for men's health, as well as our head, our brain. And so everything good has something, you know, positive and negative about it. And so we want to always find the most gentle, sustainable, and embodiable tool. That's Sauna Space. And please share more about this. So we're gonna put a link in the comments for those of you that would love to explore this incredible tool.
Yeah. So not everything today needs to be understood, but since we do like to make this immersive, we know that some things need to be felt.
And so there's something called the sound healing for a reason. And maybe I'll let you share that because you love that piece.
Yeah, so it isn't just called sound healing for fun. Sound healing is called sound healing because the actual frequency of the sound is retuning your body. It's actually healing your body. So the radio is tuned to a frequency, which frequency? 440? 440 hertz. That is actually very distorting for the brain. It makes you kind of incoherent, and this is done for a reason. You know, these broadcasts that are mainstream, they're not meant to be harmonious. And so when you hear the tune of an instrument, the tune of nature, specific frequencies like 528 is the frequency of love, frequency of earth.
432 hertz is usually a lot of guitar is tuned to that, or even like gongs and bells, and Mitch, you know, he is the gong master.
Yes, so we don't need you to do anything but receive and feel this retuning, this recalibration.
And also the information. Let the information like really observe whatever information that you're ready to receive today. Because again, this is all felt, body felt, and this is for the body, for the healing of the body and integration. Set that intention, put the headphones on if you can, and we're gonna go see Mitch.
Gratitude, everyone. I'm Mitchell Reisman from 1111 Gong, and I'm here to offer a sound healing gong bath for the Earth Summit 2.0. This gong bath is designed to relieve stress and anxiety and clear your mind and bring deeper sense of inner peace into your life through energy, frequency, and vibration. The same forces that surround and make up everything in your world and within us.
How are you feeling right now? Please share with us.
Yeah, one word that you're feeling right now. My word is, I'm actually buzzing. I thought I was going to be more calm, but I'm buzzing.
I'm blessed. I feel very blessed. Blessed to have all of these angels working with us. Blessed to have all of you here with all of us. And
We met Mitch in Miami, and he came to one of our system resets, and he came with so many giant gongs. I was like, he's a gong master. Of course you have giant gongs.
yeah, and he's in Miami. So those of you guys that are in Miami, please, he does events constantly there. We'll put his link into the chat as well. And we've actually done like 4 or 5 events. I don't
Yeah.
think you even recall how many
multiple.
we've
And
done.
it's more than just a sound healing. It's like a sound journey.
And so next up, we have Dr. Stephen Young, who has devoted 36 years of mastering the mind, body, and spirit. We have a very special talk with him and Pavel from Necker Island. This is just so special because he has been through all of it. And so he's going to talk on bio-loving, why it's more important than biohacking, kind of the full circle moment of trying it all, and the importance of listening to your innate intelligence.
All right, beautiful friends, welcome to the second episode of the Earth 2.0 Global Activation. Today, we have a special edition, and this is my roommate, Dr. Stephen Young, that you have seen in our first episode already, and he's so incredible that we wanted to bring him back again because of his wealth of knowledge, because of the things that he's doing in the world is so prominent to the Earth 2.0 movement. And so with furthermore, I would like to start with, what are you most excited about right now?
Well, that's a big question. While the mass media is painting this future of like destruction and horrible things, all the files being released and all the trafficking, from my end, what I'm seeing in my reality, this is not theoretical. We're talking about humanoids being made where the operating system has consciousness embedded in, like deep conscious teachings and the understanding of human intelligence, so that these humanoids can actually support humanity's spiritual evolution and emotional awareness. We're looking at 0-point energy that's starting, and really this trend that we are going to talk about, I'm sure, this transition from needing to change and fix and improve the self to fully loving the self. That is what I'm listening about.
Yeah, I so resonate with you and dealt with this my whole life, and it's actually one of the names for this. It's literally called the bio-loving, and there is a reason why we didn't have the true biohacking, as many would call it in today's world, because what I find is exactly that happened for me. I would find this hack and that hack, and then I disconnected myself from the innate intelligence. And today we talk about mastering our physical body health, this temple that we've been gifted and given to obviously make the most out of it. And so in shorts, just so people understand, what is bio-loving to you?
Sure.
And then we can get further.
Sure. I always say to people, and I've worked with very influential entrepreneurs to the masses and their true patients, I used to say to people, the greatest illusion or program that we live in that keeps us in illness, suffering, pain, is the program of you're not there yet. Every marketing message says you're not there yet until you buy our product or service. And so biohacking exists in the you're not there yet. And you're going to want to use all these routines and technologies and equipment and supplements to hack your physiology so that you get there. Well, the thing is, we never experience the future. We only experience now. And if you approach life with not there yet, you only ever exist and experience not there yet. And so to me, bio-loving is the opposite of that. It's loving what is. Because when you start to bio-love what is, meaning you're loving yourself for what is, you exist in the field of loving as is. And every person that you interact with and the unified field is being embedded with the frequency of love what is. And I believe that is beyond just improving my health. It is literally world changing.
I so resonate with it, and also, to be honest, been totally on the other side of things as well, and it's really like that remembrance that we are healed. We have to speak to ourselves. We have to really communicate with everything around us, because everything is us in a different form. And so I wanted to take 3 different patterns of people.
Sure.
And one, let's say somebody right now is dealing with disease, right? They're in it. Maybe it's autoimmune, cancer. We see that everywhere. And a lot of our people, they are ready to bio-love themselves into health. And so what would you say for that pattern? And then we can look at someone more progressive, like I'm healthy, neutral. How do I go into optimal performance from there?
Yeah, I mean, we have the research now to literally prove that it is absolutely our thoughts and emotions that then dictates our epigenetics, right? Like we have these genes that produces proteins, and every gene has sort of like an on and off switch, and it's our thoughts and emotions that dictates the on and off switches of these genes. So this changes the entire paradigm from is it biology or is it environment to it's really all environment, because ultimately it's our thoughts and emotions that's dictating the proteins and the biology. And once you realize that, for anyone that's experiencing illness, whether it be cancer or anything, out there, the number one awareness or the frame to adopt is that this illness that you've been labeled with ultimately is your body's way of communicating with your consciousness that something is going on. And so, number one thing I recommend is to change. I've been labeled with, let's say, cancer, because that label isn't true. This is fact. We produce 10,000 cancer cells every day, but our immune system is able to regulate that by getting rid of those cancer cells. So I have cancer. Technically, every human can say, in this moment, I have cancer. But in the next few seconds, my immune system's like, boop, doop, doop, takes care of the cancer. So what I'm recommending is to reframe the context in which you've been labeled from I have cancer to right now, for some reason, my immune system is not operating normally. Why is that? Why is my system not getting rid of, right, these things that don't belong there? And you will probably realize that there are emotions that you have not gotten rid of, that you're still holding on to. So literally our physiology correlates with our psychology. Just when you experience yourself through that lens, you start to become your own master healer.
You know, one thing that Stephen has worked with, I think over 9,000 people or patients. Can you take a couple of these kind of cases that have come to you and,
Sure.
and see how to, what was the process that you've taken them on, from whatever was cancer or autoimmune disease?
I can give I always like to provide contrast, give a wisdom contrast. So on one hand, I remember years ago, so I stopped treating patients in 2020. But it was around 2017, I got an email from someone. And he said, look, he's like, hey, you may not remember me. 7 years ago, I stopped in your office. I never became a patient, but you did come up in the front to talk to me. And what you said to me saved my life. Because whatever I said to him, he was able to change his relationship to food, and he lost 100 pounds and avoided severe heart attack, stroke, and diabetes, basically. And so that's a super simple story. Like, I don't remember what conversation I had with him, but apparently that was the impact. All the way on a deeper case, I remember one patient came for hip pain. As I'm doing the assessment, she also said, oh, I was recently, 6 months ago, put on medication for sleep, for blood sugar issues, and for anxiety. And as she's saying this, I have a practice of sensing, and we can all do this, by the way, it's not like a superpower, sensing into her field to discern what's the energetics that led to those things. So what came to me was something happened 6 months prior to her being diagnosed. And so I asked her, I was like, hey, what happened 6 months prior? And I didn't even finish my sentence, she starts crying. She goes, my husband died 6 months prior to that. So, and she's, born in India, so I understand Hindu culture and religion. They have a very different mindset than, let's say, Christianity. So essentially, as I was treating her hip, I helped her reframe, I lost my husband, to I actually have more access to my husband. And 3 months later, she was off all meds.
This is what blows my mind. And by the way, as we categorized it, right? Today's the physical body mastery. It's all interconnected, and that's something I'm gonna do a spoiler alert, because at the end of all of this, we're gonna tell you basically, forget about everything that you've learned, because it starts in the mind, emotions. I mean, I see that all the time with cancer patients, especially. There is a toxic relationship. There has been no forgiveness or acceptance of self or someone else, and as soon as we go into the root, I think then you can have spontaneous healing because you get the lesson or whatever we've hooked us, into.
Yeah.
Now, so let's talk about someone that's at a neutral state now. So you've got the on the low end, right? We've got neutral person that is kind of, seeing the world of biohacking, right? Sees the red light, sees the cold plunges. What is kind of that approach to someone like this in a practical way? How can you bio-love yourself and then keep this going so that way you maybe move into the high performer, right?
This is a great question. So I always say to people, if there's one takeaway, if there's one lesson that if you just took it and practiced, it would change every aspect of your life. That lesson is, we were taught to make the right choice. What's the right thing to do that gets me to where I'm going? We weren't taught that our relationship to whatever choice that we make alters all physical reality. Because the relationship that we have with it dictates how we feel about doing the action. Right? I always use this example, like you can have two twins, same genes. One person eats broccoli and the relationship to eating broccoli is they love the texture, the taste, the smell. They're just like in complete joy and bliss as they eat broccoli. The other twin read a study that said broccoli is the most anti-cancer food you can eat. And this other twin eats broccoli, the relationship is, I don't want to die. Guess what's going to happen to their health? Just imagine that for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. One is every day living in fear, and one is living in joy. And so same action, eating broccoli, but the relationship is different. And so when we tie to bio-loving, yes, there's all kinds of technologies out there. And right now, the current context is your body kind of sucks right now, and this will get you there. And I'm a huge fan of switching that story to my body. Yeah, may not be the way I mentally want it to be. But ultimately, how it is right now is actually perfect. And that every symptom that you might be feeling, maybe a stiffness or a brain fog, or maybe you're just like low on energy, they're all messages from your body telling your consciousness to cohere with your body, to communicate with your body. And so that when you do the red light, the cold plunge, the sauna, and all the various, and even taking supplements, you're not doing it to get somewhere, you are exploring. I love that we're being blessed by water as we're doing this.
We're cleansing.
Yes, it's the magic of Necker Island here. And we approach it from an exploration, curiosity. I wonder what my body is capable of. Right, when I go into this, I wonder what my body's capable of, or what would happen to my body if I take this supplement. And just come from a play exploration context, not a, there's something wrong with me, I need this to get. So.
Well, and I also think like you will eventually get to a point where you could speak that to water. You could, right? Like you ultimately, and we teach this. It's the system reset. You perfect health now, right? So it's like whatever code that you start saying or belief system that you have, you can start having these manifestations in instants, or it gets shorter and shorter, right? So like ultimately we don't need anything, right? I think that's the message, but to love ourselves and love what is.
Yeah, I would say the supplements and the technologies are like training wheels for us to, on the background, on everyday life, constantly evolving our consciousness or in our awareness, basically. Because once you become aware enough, yes, you can absolutely dictate your body and all of reality with your thoughts. This is proven by science at this point. Dr. Larry Farwell used plutonium and proved that he could use his consciousness to dictate the time interval of emission of these alpha particles. So he scientifically proved that absolutely it is our consciousness that's dictating and rendering physical reality to match our consciousness. It's huge.
Wow. And what is your thought on, so let's say there's a scientific evidence of, sauna, right? Red light and cold plunge. And maybe now we can move into that high achiever or performer, right? That understands that baseline, but it's now choosing to accelerate. Would that still be coming from a place of wanting to get, in a way?
Yeah, interesting. I would suggest still from a curiosity of what is my beingness capable of, and that would be my recommendation for the performance, because typically the relationship is what is my body and mind capable of when I do this, right? Can I focus more, do more work? Can I run farther? Can I ride a bike? Right? Can I do a physical activity with more energy? That's the context. But if you're curious about what are you as an entire being capable of, might find that you become a more loving person from experiencing the sauna. But because you were only focused on performance, mental and physical, but not emotional, then you don't get any emotional benefits. So my recommendation for the performance is, if you're already healthy and you're looking to maximize performance, do and relate to these technologies and supplements with curiosity, or with this openness of like, it can impact every aspect of your life, and even some aspects you probably are not aware they can't do. Just leave room for what I call miracles.
This is a miracle. And by the way, we're tuning in from Necker Island, and this was a special like opportunity for us because we got to roommate, and we got to be here with an amazing group of people, and we were like, we have to do this transmission for all of you guys, so you're getting nourished by the nature and nourished by this place.
Yeah, this is one of the most magical places. You can imagine what's been seeded and birthed here on Necker with Branson inviting world leaders to solve world problems. I think this is one of the most epic places to seed a new beginning. I love that we're seeding and beginning this bio-loving context.
Now, tell me a little bit about, so what do you do in a day-to-day basis? Kind of like, how do you love yourself, and what are some of the practices? I assume you have some form of meditation or exercise, because you look great. And so what are you getting into, and what do you find to really accelerate your body's health?
Yeah, first I always like to give people context. So I spent decades being very regimented. Like, I used to bring my own food to restaurants so I can control my calories and macros. And now I just eat whatever and just send love to the food. Amazing practice, and you become way more healthy. And so you're meeting me in a phase of my life where I'm actually trying to be non-mechanistic, non-process. However, I do still have some routines, so I can talk about those routines. But I want to give context first, so that when I speak about my routines, you know that that's operating within a larger context of trying to dissolve all routines. So, yeah, typically when I wake up in the morning, I will take certain supplements. And you know, my first company 26 years ago was a supplement company, so I've been in sort of this space for a long time. We developed the first pre and post workout products, and so I still take supplements, and then I go do a workout. And now here's the thing: when I work out, it used to be from a place of like, my chest needs to be bigger, right? Like my body's not there yet. And these days, I play with it different reasons. Sometimes I go to the gym. It's like, how much love can I send into this muscle as I'm working it? Sometimes it's like, how attuned can I be to the tension, to that part of my body? So it's more about an exploration of connection than forcing my body to do something. Now granted, as I'm working out, of course my body adapts and the outcomes change, but the relationship is completely different. Right? So I'll do the workout, come back home, and I'll eat like a healthy breakfast. And if there's no time, I'll make a smoothie, some kind of fruit, some kind of fast digesting protein. A little bit of creatine in that, and you know, when I will say the most, if biohackers ask me, what's the one routine that you have found to be the most beneficial for health, longevity, all the things? By far, it's deep, connective, energetic loving. That trumps any, because it's the greatest technology, right? And so when I'm in partnership, I make sure that is definitely the daily routine. But when I'm not in partnership, it's the supplements, the gym, and things like that. And other than that, the rest of it is just, you know, trusting your body's intuition, just honoring moment to moment that your body is going to communicate with you, and whatever it's communicating, you do the thing. It's almost like operating from your totality of beingness and not just your intellect. That's really a devotion of mine right now.
Yeah, as you guys know, we talk a lot about innate intelligence, and I think for a lot of people, it could be a far out, complex thing, right? What does that mean? And I think this is why like silence, stillness, and solitude is so crucial, because that's when you can discern from the busyness of everyday life. And because, you know, our minds are very strong, right? I mean, our minds want to be engaged, want to be constantly doing something, and unless you disrupt it, you won't hear that innate wisdom. At least for me, it's been like that. And so how do you, so let's say somebody's, you know, trying to understand their innate wisdom, right? Like where do they start?
Yeah.
And what are some of those practices to help them trusting that more than anything?
Sure. Whenever I get these types of questions, I always examine what's the game rules of reality in which this question existed. And instead of simply answering the question within these game rules, can we change the game rules so that this thing happens automatically, right? And what I just said, you can apply to life. It's life changing, right? And because in this question, we think about why do we overthink? Why are we constantly thinking? Well, it's because we're in the illusion of you're not there yet. My purpose hasn't been done. My relationships haven't deepened to a point where I wanted. My health is not there. My job, my profession is not there. So you are constantly striving. And that background program of constantly striving, of course, leads to constant thinking so that you can get ahead. So what if we change the game? What if we change from the world is horrible and I'm horrible and there's something wrong and we need to do things, I'm not there yet, to, oh, by the way, there's this infinite intelligence we call spirit, universe, God, source, whatever term you want to call it, has been orchestrating everything. And in fact, everything is divinely perfect. Nothing needs to be done. Yes, there are atrocities happening, but that in itself is also part of a grand design of perfection. And so from this place of nothing needs to be done, it tends to automatically quiet your mind, because you're not like, what's the next thing that needs to be done? And so I would recommend changing the context from not there yet to divine perfection here and now, which, in spirituality we would call it presence. Right? But the thing is, if you don't understand the context, you're mechanistically trying to be present. But if you change the game, you're automatically present. You don't have to think about, okay, let me get into presence, because you literally operate in everything is divinely perfect. And what we're doing is we're seeing this in humanity. We're evolving from I'm a doctor, I'm a lawyer, I'm a business person, I'm a blah, blah, blah. Everyone is about to be artists. Because when everything is done and everything is perfect, which robots are going to do a lot, we will have ample free time and space. And we literally will be in this new phase of humanity where we're just expressing our soul expression. We're not doing things because the world needs it or it's going to do something. This is what we're heading towards.
Yeah, and I know you do so many activations like this. What are some of your, I don't want to say must-have because it does come from a place of wanting something, but what are some of the activations that you've experienced and also that you are currently doing? Because I know you're taking people, many times a year on these incredible, I don't want to call it excursions, but explorations.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anything from simply inviting a small group of entrepreneurs, typically 10 to 12, to my house in Austin. I've curated this house with hundreds of thousands of dollars of crystals, and also sauna, float tank, cold plunge, and all the sort of modern technology and ancient technology. And so we will do like a 3-day immersive experience. And before they arrive there, they learn about these 7 hermetic principles. So they understand that there are these 7 principles that govern reality. And so when they come into this immersive, deep spiritual experience, the first thing I tell them is like, hey, where you're coming from, the energy field is you're not there yet. This container is divine perfection here and now. And so I tell them that this is a contrast experience. And already with contrast, that's how we learn. We can't learn anything without contrast. And so we put them into a 3-day experience embodied, not just like learning a bunch of stuff. They literally feel that divine perfection, the here, the now, their own divine spark, the source within. Another way to say it is the drop realizes it's also the ocean, right? And not just a drop. And so anything from that to taking people to like Damanhur in Italy, where like, as strange as it sounds, they actually have a physical time machine. And they've been going back in time to Atlantis, Lemuria. Now, while this might sound unusual and crazy, I would recommend anyone can buy a book called Spiritual Physics on Amazon. They literally share the physics of how they built this machine. And so the reason I take people there is so many things that we think are impossible are absolutely possible. And I love experiences that dissolves people's outer edge of impossible, because then more miracles and possibilities come into your life. So we have those experiences as well.
Yeah, I love that. And so if you were looking at the next 10 years, what is kind of your place that you would love to, play in this, and what are you, excited that's happening, that you're seeing?
Yeah, it's interesting, and just to give you context, for the last 7 years I operated not from a how can I figure out what to do. I operate from this knowing that my future self just tells me what to do. And And so what I've been told in the last 3 years is, 3 years ago, I was given an image of brain cells, and they said, this is the future of business. I was like, okay, what does that mean? So I meditated on it. I realized that when we work with businesses, the exchange instead of money, it needs to be equity. Because equity allows an open channel of two-way energy exchange, whereas money is a political energy. And then I was shown that if you work with a bunch of companies and you're interconnected with this equity, you form a neural network. A neural network is way more powerful than a single brain cell. So what I see happening is I'm involved in already so many businesses to add spirit into the business for equity, where I'm already piecing together a few of these businesses to create something that is 1,000 times more impactful than their individual creations. So I'm really excited about that. And then within that, about a year and a half ago, it started coming to me. It said, this knowing that I've had since I was 5 said, conscious capitalism is not the answer to capitalism. Capitalism is an extractive relationship to all things. How much can I get? Conscious capitalism is still extractive, but in the process of extraction, you have a mindfulness. How can I do greater good in this process of extraction? But it's still extractive. And the indigenous peoples are saying if we continue our extractive ways, we're heading towards human extinction in 15 years. So we cannot do business as usual. We need, and I really use that word, but we need to do business as ritual. And changing how business is done. So with that, what came to me was this concept called spiritpreneuring. And it's a verb because we don't want people to identify as a spiritpreneur. Any identity you adopt is a box. And so the 3 tenets of spiritpreneuring are life serving all life, which means you recognize you are interconnected with all life. In that context, there's no abundance and scarcity. When you know you're everything, you don't ask for more or less. And every decision serves all life. That's the first pillar. The second pillar is omni-benefit. Every step of the way, everyone benefits. Right now in businesses, the marketing typically harms people because the marketing says you suck and you're not there yet until you buy our stuff. And so changing how companies express themselves in a way, whether people buy or transact or not, every marketing material already changes their lives for the benefit. And the third pillar is recognizing the businesses and the families and anything that we build. It's a mirror, right? Because it's a reflection of you. And we get so caught up in building bigger, more powerful, more extravagant mirrors, we forget the actual game is to look at the mirror. So the third pillar is gnosis, Gnosis, which is sort of knowing thy divine self. So that when you're doing entrepreneurship and doing spiritpreneuring, that every interaction and how you're feeling and reacting is a mirror of who and what you are. And that is what I'm super excited about. And in the next 10 years, this is going to be the new way of doing business.
Wow. I so love, like, literally he's touching on every single blueprint that we're going to be learning through this. I mean, we have 1 month dedicated just to business and to self-governance and like how do we come back into the circular way of looking at business. We're going to teach people triple benefit, where benefits you, benefits me, and benefits the whole ecosystem that we live on. I mean, it's so incredible. And so Stephen is such a wealth of knowledge, wisdom, and embodiment more than anything. And as you know, we've been really on a hunt to bring these incredible embodied leaders of the Earth 2.0 blueprint. And so if people would like to work more and further with you, what would you like to direct them?
For now, probably Instagram, Stephen with a V, Stephen Young Alchemist. I have not done things as a business or for business in many years. So my personal website, there is a personal website, it's Dr. Steve Young. It has not been updated in 9 years, but I'm in the process of finally updating it. So at some point, probably in like 3 months, that would be a great place to go, because in 3 months, this website is going to exemplify everything that we spoke about. Right? Instead of a typical website, headline to get your attention, this is why you need to listen to me, why I'm awesome, this is the problem, okay, here are my services to solve that problem. This website's going to be, this is who I am, this is the game I choose to play, what reality is. You're invited to play if you want to, and that's it. And there will be courses, and you can buy the courses, have immediate access, but if you don't have money, you can accrue acts of kindness and use these trust coins to buy the courses through your acts of kindness.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for all that you do. We're so grateful to have you, and it was an honor.
Same.
There are some moments in science where something unexpected appears.
Something that changes how to understand our body.
Chris Perez brings one of those conversations forward.
And in this, we're going to be unlocking the ESS60, the breakthrough molecule for energy, vitality, and longevity. And let me tell you, this is not just some woo-woo thing again. We would never bring it here unless it was so powerful. I mean, we've had, and you'll see, we're going to play the clip a little bit later. We've had such an amazing results with this, especially again in this toxic environment that we live in. So we cannot wait for Chris to explain what is this true gold that we're all seeking in health.
Hi guys, this is Chris Burris for the 12-month System Upgrade Series inspiring the Earth 2.0 movement. Today, I will be talking about the secret molecule for longevity, why ESS60 may transform human health. So let me share my screen. All right, so yes, the 12-month system upgrade, Earth 2.0. I'm excited to be participating in this. So just a little bit about me. I wrote a book, Live Longer and Better. Your journey to living longer and better has never been more achievable than today. I've been working with this molecule. We're gonna talk about this ESS60 molecule since 1991. I'm the oldest and longest manufacturer of the molecule on the planet. I have a podcast called Live Beyond the Norms. It's a health and longevity podcast. I've interviewed amazing people. I've also done an Uncovering the Secrets to Longevity Summit. That's an online summit. I've interviewed Dave Asprey, Ben Greenfield, Dr. Stephen Gundry, some amazing people in the longevity and health space. I do have Instagram. Here is my podcast and here is my YouTube. I want to keep this about me really short and let's get into this molecule. I was recently on Dave Asprey's podcast. That was a great experience, some great content there. If you want more, you can always dive in there. What we're talking about is the ESS60 molecule. So it is this beautiful molecule that you can see here. It was discovered in 1985 at Rice University here in Houston, where we're based. And the three scientists who discovered it, that's Smalley, Kroto, and Curl, actually went on to win the Nobel Prize for the discovery of this molecule. In fact, this molecule is so beautiful. There is a book called The Most Beautiful Molecule, which is entirely about this ESS60 molecule. So they won their Nobel Prize in 1996. Our lab actually started manufacturing this molecule in 1991, a full 5 years before they were awarded the Nobel Prize. Definitely not a very braggadocious person, but it's not, this is as braggadocious as I will get. It's not unreasonable to suggest that because our lab was manufacturing this molecule, distributing it to research institutions around the world, and scientists could actually get their hands on it and play with it, they knew this molecule would be so valuable, and ultimately that drove, at least to an earlier degree, like it happened faster, the Nobel Prize being awarded. Now, part of the reason the Nobel Prize was awarded is because this molecule is amazing. The way I describe it is it performs as well or better than the current best material in almost every application. So it makes better inks, better batteries, better tires, better photocells. This sometimes makes people nervous when you're talking about health stuff. And I'm going to make you a little bit more nervous because this shape right here is reminiscent of benzene. They thought this molecule would be toxic. So benzene is ubiquitous in our society. It's necessary for modern society. If you don't believe me, just take a moment, glance around you. Everything that's plastic would be gone without the benzene ring. That's how important it is. Also, many medications have the benzene ring as the foundation. Including aspirin. So without this benzene ring, it has the same shape but a different chemical formula, we don't have modern society. But benzene on its own is known to be toxic and known to be carcinogenic. And because that shape, again, not the formula, but that shape exists 20 times on the exterior of this ESS60 molecule, they thought the molecule would be toxic. And if man's going to work with it on a regular basis because it's so amazing and it's toxic, we need to understand the level of toxicity. So they actually stuck this in a toxicity study. And this is where things get really interesting. In that study, 3 things came out, and they were all non-toxic. The first is the rats used in this study, they are Wistar rats, lived 90% longer than the control group. And we're going to dive into that. We're also going to dive into all of those rats died tumor-free, and there is actually a liver protective effect, an oxidative liver protective effect, the toxicity protection for carbon tetrachloride. We're going to talk about that. So first, what did that study look like? So there was 3 groups. One group was a water group. They were control group, so they were just given water. One group was like a semi-control group. They were given olive oil. And then, of course, the ESS60 rats, they were given ESS60 with olive oil. Now, as is normal, the water rats died at about 32 months. So a typical Wistar rat dies at 32 months. The olive oil rats, this is interesting, right? Like, we don't have to jump ahead to ESS60. You know, Dave Asprey, not specifically Dave Asprey, but Dr. Stephen Gundry has an olive oil on the market. Brian Johnson has an olive oil on the market. Olive oil is an amazing oil, and in this particular study, extended the life of these rats by 18%, all the way out to 38 months on average. But that is nothing compared to those rats given the ESS60 dissolved in olive oil. They lived out to 62 months. So we're going to come back to this because there's the tumor aspect of it is really, really interesting. But first, let's talk about, well, actually, we're going to talk about it right now. So a typical Wistar rat lives out to 32 months and has a known amount of tumor mass in its body. The longer it lives, the more tumor mass it has in its body. So you can see as this curve is progressing up, there's more tumor mass in its body. Even though the ESS60 rats lived out to 62 months, none of them had any tumors. So if you think about this graph, it should have been way up here. It should have had a much larger tumor mass. Instead of that, they had 0 tumors. Now, I tell this story, share it with people, and people will listen to this and they'll go like, oh my God, cure for cancer. And my response to that is no. And then I follow that with another no. Let's be very clear. There's a big difference between dealing with a cancer that has metastasized and potentially being a cancer preventative. We know things as simple as good exercise, good nutrition, good sleep are cancer preventatives. That piece of this story just throws the ESS60 molecule kind of into the arena of potentially being a cancer preventative. I will share there is one study that is incredibly fascinating. Now, it's a Petri dish study, and Petri dish studies are the lowest level of studies. I would trust one anecdote over a Petri dish study, but this is some pretty profound results. So in a Petri dish, they had cancer cells and healthy cells, and they introduced an anti-cancer agent. Now, an anti-cancer agent is really a poison. The goal is to poison the cancer cells before the healthy cells. In the presence of the ESS60 molecule, when they introduced the anti-cancer agent, there was increased efficacy against the cancer cells and protective effects for the healthy cells. So in the presence of the ESS60 molecule, more cancer cells died, less healthy cells died. This is pretty profound. And we believe that this is driven by the fact that the ESS60 molecule, and we'll get into this here in a little bit, works at the level of the mitochondria. And we know that cancer cells use a different energy source than healthy cells, and that's at the level of the mitochondria. So we think that that's what's really driving this. I will share our most consistent testimonial is people take the product in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night, which is profound. And it's where we hung our hat on in the early stages of bringing this product to market. It was like, why is it delivering benefits? If you can positively impact sleep, you will improve physical, mental, and emotional well-being. We all kind of know that. And the fact that you're taking it in the morning and having a positive impact on sleep that night is really profound. And I think what you're going to see is that actually we're going to talk about the BOSS theory, which stands for buffering oxidative stress system, which is what this molecule does in the mitochondria. So I did want to share just this testimonial. Kyle Zagrodsky is the founder and owner of a global health franchise called OsteoStrong. They do some amazing work helping build bone density, so helping those people with osteoporosis, osteopenia. It's a great organization, and he's been in the health space for years. I did an interview of him about his OsteoStrong kind of franchise and his OsteoStrong science, the science behind OsteoStrong, and I sent him a care package, and he shares this testimonial. You guys can read it, take a snapshot of it. This is out on Google. You can go find it. Basically, his son brought home 2 pugs. Now, he kind of joked when he was sharing this with me that his son should have let him know that he was even bringing home 1, let alone 2, but he brought 2. And the reason he brought 2 is the second one was the runt of the litter and was having some severe problems, and he just didn't want to leave it on its own. You can read here, he was in rough shape. He was really out of balance. His head was constantly shaking. He would spin in circles. He had a hard time eating because his head was shaking so much. Took it to the vet. The vet didn't expect him to live long. I had sent him a care package, and he started giving MyVital-C. Really, that's olive oil with the ESS60 molecule in it, 2 to 3 times a day. By the time he wrote this, and by the time I had a conversation with him, he was 80% better. Really, the vet was like, this looks like a miracle. These are some pretty profound things. By the way, we're not making claims that this will manage this. We don't even know exactly what was going on with this particular animal. Not exactly, but this is just an example of some of the profound things that are happening. I also like, anytime I have lots of pet testimonials, and one of the things that I love about pet testimonials is there is no placebo effect. If you're ever learning about a new supplement that's on the market, and even if you're listening to this, like, part of you should be going, how much of it is placebo effect? Because placebo effect affects everything. It affects the medications you take, whether it's aspirin or Tylenol or whatever, medications for more severe diseases. Your mindset about it impacts the impact. That placebo effect impacts. It impacts what you eat. The way you eat and how you believe about that impacts the impact, interesting, on what it does to you. Your exercise, it really impacts everything, except with pets. So like in this case, there is no placebo effect for this dog. The dog, ironically, is not smart enough to know that it got 3 dropperfuls of MyVital-C that day, and so today it's supposed to be less shaky. No, what the dogs just present as they present. So I think that's really important. We talk a little bit about the mechanisms of action. I mentioned sleep. We'll talk a little bit more later on sleep. I want to talk about oxidation and inflammation. So when I was first kind of changing from my role as a carbon nanomaterial manufacturing chief scientist, which I still am, to a health and wellness chief scientist, I'm trying to figure out why these rats might have lived 90% longer. And the first place I landed, again, was sleep. The second place, I looked at the medical community, and what does the medical community think about aging? They don't all agree, but they tend to think that it's an oxidation and an inflammation process. So in terms of antioxidant, there's an ad hoc study on the web showing us to be 172 times more powerful than vitamin C, and there's peer-reviewed published research showing us to be 125 times more powerful than vitamin C. So we live in Houston. I like to put a big old check mark next to antioxidant. The next one is inflammation, and you have to be really careful when you're talking about inflammation because the FDA equates conversations of the diseases of inflammation with the diseases of inflammation, which are also the diseases of aging. So arthritis, Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, cancer. So if I come onto this video and I say, hey, we address inflammation, the FDA hears me saying, I cure cancer, I cure cardiovascular disease, which we don't, right? Which we cannot claim. There is so much research that needs to go into that. In fact, it's really expensive research in order for us to be able to make that claim. What the FDA will allow us to claim is that we address inflammation as it relates to exercise. Right? So we've all had a tough workout, maybe just walked farther than we normally do, felt that sense of inflammation in our bodies, and the FDA allows us to say that we address that type of inflammation. And so that's really where we landed. And we are doing an HSCRP study. I'll talk about that in a second. CRP stands for high sensitivity C-reactive protein. It is an inflammatory marker, and we've got great testimonials, and actually there's research in beagles, peer-reviewed published research in beagles already showing a reduction in this inflammatory marker of HSCRP. Now I want to get into the BOSS theory because this is pretty profound, right? So BOSS stands for Buffering Oxidative Stress System. Here's what drives it. We know from peer-reviewed published research that this ESS60 molecule, so you got it on the screen and I'm also holding up a 3D model of it. We know from peer-reviewed published research that this ESS60 molecule gets into the mitochondria. We also know from way back in the 90s when it was discovered that it can hold up to 6 negatively charged particles on the exterior of its cage. So here's how that manifests in the BOSS theory. So mitochondria, you probably know the powerhouse of every cell. There's between 50 and 5,000 mitochondria in every cell in your body, except for your blood cells, which have 0, and your brain and neurons, which have 2 million. It is amazing how much energy our nervous system uses relative to our other systems. Now, like every power source, mitochondria, the power source of every cell, like every power source we're familiar with, there's a negative byproduct. You think about your car driving down the road, it's got exhaust. You think about a power plant, you've got a smokestack with smoke coming out of it. The negative byproduct of mitochondria is reactive oxygen species. So you kind of see in this graph, we've got bonded and unbonded. The way I picture reactive oxygen species is they're like little bumper cars where everything they run around, if they're left to their own devices, they run around and everything they smack into, they cause oxidative stress, oxidative damage. And this sounds bad, and it is bad, but like so many biological systems in our body, there is a mechanism to manage this so it doesn't continually do damage. And that mechanism is the antioxidants, glutathione and melatonin, right there in the mitochondria. I like to pause here for just a second because melatonin is the sleep hormone. And remember, one of our most consistent testimonials involves sleep. There's really nice parallels here. So you can see in this healthy mitochondria, you've got this baby blue reactive oxygen species because it is bonded with either the glutathione or melatonin. And so that's not going to run around like a bumper car and do damage. Now, what happens when we stress a mitochondria? So first off, that begs the question, how do you stress a mitochondria? I like to point out that if you're alive in modern society, you have stressed mitochondria, right? It can be drinking, smoking, smog. It can be EMF radiation from your cell phone off of your devices, the devices around you, the power lines. It can be stressful emails, stressful conversations with loved ones, stress in traffic. Like if you live in modern society, you have stressed mitochondria. And when you do, the mitochondria starts producing more reactive oxygen species than can be managed by the internal glutathione and melatonin. So you can see in this stressed mitochondria example, there is this blue managed, bonded reactive oxygen species. So that glutathione and melatonin is bonding with as much as it can, but it's producing more than can be managed. And now you've got these red reactive oxygen species running around like little bumper cars. Everything they're bumping into, they're causing oxidative stress and oxidative damage. And that's where this ESS60 molecule comes into play. Again, we know from peer-reviewed published research, it gets into the mitochondria. So it is here. We also know from way back in the 90s that it can hold up to 6 negatively charged particles on the exterior of the cage. And so it's holding on to those reactive oxygen species so they don't do any damage. And then when that mitochondria can replenish the glutathione, replenish the melatonin, then it can manage those reactive oxygen species. And that's why we say that this ESS60 molecule is the boss, a buffering oxidative stress system. So fantastic. At the end of the day, we believe that we're reducing the negative impact of stress mitochondria. And if you reduce the negative impact of stress mitochondria, you should have systemic benefits. You should have what we have, which are head-to-toe testimonials. So I want to keep this short. I'm going to get into some existing publications. We're a very weird supplement company. We continue to do research and we continue to publish. That's even weirder. So we published with Dr. Fathi Musa in 2025 and 2024. We will be publishing with him again in 2026. We did a crossover study already. Basically, a crossover study is collect 10 days of survey data, and we're asking questions like sleep rating, easy to fall asleep, restlessness. So we collected 10 days of data before trying the product, 10 days off of the product, on the product in the red bar, 10 days off the product, and then 10 days back on it in the green bar. This is the aggregate of the data, but 100% of the participants, it was a small cohort, but 100% of the participants reported improvements in sleep while they were on the product. That is the reason that we're starting the sleep trial, a more rigorous clinical trial on sleep. We're hoping to start that this year. We did kind of kick off, we can't really say migraine, so it's a headache study that we're hoping to start off actually really soon in the next 30 days or so. Then HSCRP, I've mentioned that's looking at an inflammatory marker, and then a wrinkle and age spot because we have this amazing product. I'll talk about it here in just a second. This is a screenshot of the headache study. It is on hold right now, but you can go and get signed up. You can go to the website. We like to think of our product. People often ask, like, what time frame should I be thinking to get some results? We think of it as a 3-month process, and it really parallels our most consistent testimonial where people take it in the morning, they report mental focus and energy during the day, and then better sleep that night. So month 1, it's focus and energy. The testimonial that I lean on here is we got some product to an influencer. She took it in the morning. She sent in her video that evening, and she pointed out that she didn't finish her cup of coffee. Now, if you're a coffee drinker, then you know that that's a big deal. I used to be a 2 to 3 cup of coffee per day person. Now I'm a half to 1. It's really about the ritual. And frankly, that's when I take my Vital C. So I'll probably never get rid of my coffee routine because I like the fact that I take it every day. Next is deeper sleep. That's around month 2. The reality is I think that's happening in month 1, but because everybody gets a little bit more or a little bit less sleep every day, then it's hard to track that you started taking my Vital C and experiencing better sleep. But people report that. The testimonial I lean on here is my business coach shared that for 50 years he needed an alarm clock to wake up. Now, when he's on my Vital C, he no longer needs the alarm clock to wake up. Now, he's a business coach, right? So he has late night mixers, late night dinners, none of that matters, except if he doesn't have the product for about 10 days, then he will start to need the alarm clock again. Now, month 3, again, reducing the negative impact of stressed mitochondria, you should have systemic benefits. Frankly, we have testimonials we can't share yet. The FDA won't allow us. We've got to dig in and do a lot of expensive research so that we can start sharing some of those benefits. What I'll share here is my father-in-law was walking with a cane at about the 3-month mark taking this. He stopped needing the cane. He actually started walking farther. Because he was walking farther, he started to lose weight. No surprise there, not because of our product, because of the additional exercise, and that had that kind of systemic benefit. There are 2 products that we really are focused on. This is our high quality extra virgin olive oil with as much of the ESS60 molecule, and this is our Skin Reduo. We have people who rave about this. I kind of joke, one group, the Boulder Longevity Institute, a group of them came to me and was like, that chance to live longer, I'm not interested. That chance to be healthier, I'm not interested. I'm interested in your Reduo. It's 2 parts, so there's a peptide in here we call UTH29, Youth 29. This is water soluble. Our ESS60 molecule is oil soluble. We could have shoved these 2 with an emulsifier. We decided not to because I don't like how emulsifiers sound. Also, there are no health benefits. So you actually do 1 squirt of the UTH29 lotion and then 2 drops per squirt. I actually use 2 squirts and 4 drops. And you activate it right there in your hand and you apply it. So why live longer if you don't look great? We got a special. The URL is myvitalc.com/AEON. You can get 18 biohacking tips for free. Just go there. You got to give us your email. There's 40% off on select packages. I'll share with you. You can go there. You can find 2, 3, or 6. The 40% discount is on 6. The reason we did that is, again, we think of this as a 3-month time frame. So you could order 6, keep 3 for yourself and give 3 to somebody who might need it. Or you could be like me. I would probably selfishly keep all 3. There is a coupon code. You do need to go to that link to get that coupon code. There is a subscription price. It's a better price. Even if you only want to try this once, one of the packages, go ahead and go on subscription. Customer service team has 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. They are not trained to talk you out of canceling your subscription. They're trained to help you. It's just that most people don't cancel their subscription. And I do have a charity piece. So at the bottom of the page, you can find my book, Live Longer and Better. It's available on Amazon for $19.99. It's available on this link at the bottom of the page for $19.99. For $10 extra, I will autograph that book for you. 100% of that $10 fee goes to Operation Underground Railroad. So you may remember an amazing movie, The Sound of Freedom, about a horrible topic, which is child exploitation. 100% of my signature fee goes to Operation Underground Railroad, an organization doing a great job to wipe that off of our planet. Again, here's my Instagram, my Live Beyond the Norms, and also YouTube. And I just want to say thank you and make a great day happen.
Man, I love this stuff so much. I've been struggling with a rash on my face, like in this area, since November. And I've tried everything holistic, sea buckhorn. I've tried, what's it called? The dandruff shampoo. I've tried multiple different things and none of it's worked. And I started taking the ESS60 olive oil, infused olive oil, on an empty stomach in the morning, like a shot. And I went from literally really embarrassing rash to I have tiniest bit left, and I know that it's on its way. As soon as I started taking it, my rash started clearing. So this stuff is magic in a bottle.
Now let's check in with yourself. Can you just pause? Pause right now. Connect to your breath. Relax into your body. Remember, it's all about the practice, all about the nervous system. Even when we're listening, paying attention, Our mind tends to be in the future, in the past. Just bring it back home. Focus on maybe inhale, exhale, and just hold on exhale. Let this time, and maybe even pulse with your stomach. As you're holding breath on exhale, just pulse, 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 and just drain out any sorts of pressure, stress. Just allow to reset. And now one more deep inhale. Hold your breath on inhale. Pause right here. Sense as if you were showering yourself with energy, joy, excitement, understanding, embodiment. Exhale. Shake off your body. Because we're shaking off into something very powerful.
Yes, something so powerful. All the way from Japan, we have Tateki Masuda. He'll be speaking on the Japanese way of physical intelligence, where we're going to go over posture, breath, and centering before any intensity. And so he's going to do a lecture, and then right after, we're going to implement it, and he's going to bring us through a fascia release and posture exercise. So get ready to learn and then embody.
Hi guys, this is Tateki Matsuda for the 12-month system upgrade series inspiring the Earth 2.0 movement. Today, I will be sharing about the Japanese way of physical intelligence. We live in an age of incredible tools. We can track sleep, glucose, recovery, stress, and performance HRV with more precision than ever before. I have a wearable too. And still many people do not feel at home in their own body. People know the metrics, people know the protocols, but under pressure, the shoulders rise, the breast gets smaller, and the body loses its center. So today, I do not want to cover many topics. I want to teach one transformation, how to move from a disorganized state to a body that is more centered, more regulated, more intelligent in the way it responds. And when I say physical intelligence, I do not mean athletic talent. I do not mean intensity. I mean something simpler and deeper. The ability to organize posture, breath, attention, and effort in real time. For me, the Japanese way is not about pushing harder. And I'm not saying Japanese way is better than Western way or better than any other cultures or anything. It's about centering better. A little bit about where this comes from. I was born and raised in Tokyo, Japan. Now I live in Boston, Massachusetts. My background is in professional MMA, including the world-class promotion such as UFC, Pancrase, Bellator. At the same time, I studied sports movement science and applied nutrition for my master's degree as an international student. So I have lived in two languages. One is the language of pressure, impact, and direct physical consequence. The other is the language of science, analysis, and health optimization. In fighting, you learn very quickly that the body tells the truth, not your theory, not your intensity, not your identity, not your intention, your body. If the breath is disorganized, it shows. The posture leaks, it shows. Your attention is late, game over. There is one reason I care so much about this subject, because modern health culture often teaches people to manage the body from outside. Track this, improve that, add this protocol. I respect science. I use it. Actually, I have organized the first time biohacking conference in Asia and Japan last year. I love numbers and data as a biohacker, but from my Japanese perspective, the body is not only something to measure, it is something to inhabit. The difference matters. Western science is extremely strong at analysis. It isolates variables, tests mechanisms, and gives us precision. Japanese embodied traditions often begin somewhere else, not with what can we measure first, but with how are you standing? How are you breathing? Where is your center? How much force are you wasting? One approach gives detail. The other gives immediate relationship. And right now, many people need that relationship back. So let me define the phrase clearly. Physical intelligence is the ability to regulate posture, breath, attention, and effort in real time, not in perfect conditions, not after a retreat, not only when life is calm, in real time. When you are busy, when you are emotionally loaded, when you are tired, when the nervous system wants to go upward and outward, because that is where most people lose energy, not only through hard work, through poor structure and organization, too much tension in the wrong places, too much effort for little result. In Japanese culture, this intelligence has often been trained without over-explaining it through martial arts, through posture, through silence, how you enter a room, how you sit, how you bow, how you recover composure. In the West, the language is often more clinical, such as autonomic regulation, motor control, respiratory mechanics, recovery state. I think both are useful. Science helps explain. Embody the traditional Japanese way helps you feel, and without feeling it, knowledge stays external. More tracking, less embodiment. More stimulation, less regulation. This is the modern condition. We have more information, but less internal order. People wake up already pulled outward toward the phone, check the email inbox. What's the next task? Too much noise. The body follows. Breathing become narrow. The front side tighten. Neck starts helping too much. Attention fragments. So the issue is not only stress, it is what stress does to your structure. And this is where I think Japanese perspective offers something important. In many Western systems, the instinct is to solve a problem by adding more information, more intervention, more stimulation, more effort. The Japanese wisdom often begins with a different question. What can be removed? What tension is unnecessary? What movement is excessive? What noise is interrupting rhythm? This is not anti-science. Sometimes less is more. As you may know, this is a part of Kaizen. It's a Japanese way of improvement. It is a different standpoint, not more, better, not intensity first, axis first. This brings me a very important Japanese concept, tanden. I do not use this word in a mystical way. I use it practically. Tanden is a center, lower your navel area, a center of gravity, breath, posture, and regulation. When people are stressed, everything tends to rise. The breath rises, chest lifts, the shoulders help your breathing, and your mind speeds up. Everything goes up. But when awareness returns lower toward the center, something changes. The body becomes more available. Breath can descend. Force can travel more clean. This is one of the major differences I see between Japanese embodied practice and modern Western optimization culture. A lot of Western approaches ask, how do we increase output? Japanese practice often asks, from where are you moving? What is supporting movement? Can you stay centered while acting? This is a deeper question, not how much force you produce, how well you are organized while producing it. Posture is not aesthetics. It is nervous system language. Most people have been taught posture as an appearance. Stand taller, look confident, pull the shoulder back. That is too shallow, in my opinion. Posture is actually information. It tells you how the nervous system is managing the moment, they're messages. So I do not teach posture as a correction by force. Some people look upright, but they are full of unnecessary tension. That is not presence. That is a performance. From my perspective, better posture is not created by command. Better posture is created by better breath, better center, better distribution of effort. Western posture advice can sound mechanical, such as fixing alignment or something like that. Japanese embodied practice often sounds subtler. Find the center, reduce excess, restore balance. One is correction, the other is recognition. And for many people, recognition works better than force, and vice versa. Breathing organizes the body. Exhale, regain space. Breath is one of the fastest ways to change the whole system, and I do not separate breath from posture. Breath affects posture. Posture affects breath. Both shape the nervous system. When stress builds, many people do not fully exhale. They live in a half-held inhale. That creates noise in the body. The shoulder begins to assist, the neck joins in, and the front rib loses movement and opens up. So I want to do something very short, not full activation, just enough to feel the principle. Let your body settle for a moment. When we are stressed, we exhale shorter. I skip scientific or anatomical explains here, but when you feel your space between busy moments, I want you to make a small hole with your mouth as if you blow up a balloon. Exhale longer. That is enough. No dramatic performance. No forcing calm. Just notice whether there is a little more space. I believe in Earth 2.0 is where we find more time and space to exhale longer. The door is simple. Exhale to regain space. Don't resist, respond. Tension slows perception. This is one of the deepest lessons I learned from fighting. Too much tension makes you stupid. It makes you late, makes you less sensitive, narrows perceptions, and it wastes energy. I've been there. That's why I say, don't resist, respond. At first, many people think strength means harder, but high-level fighting taught me something different. Timing, distance, efficiency, composure, responsiveness. From Western scientific view, you can describe this through nervous system regulation, reaction time, motor control, and state-dependent performance. But from a Japanese perspective, the language is often simpler. Do not harden unnecessarily. Do not lose your space. In Japanese, ma. Ma means space in between. The intelligence of timing and interval. Stay present enough to respond. Different language, same truth. And I think that applies far beyond fighting to work, to parenting, leadership, and aging for real longevity. A long life is not enough. You need a body that can still respond well under pressure and resilience. So if I reduce today's talk to 3 principles, I would say these 3. Center, rhythm, restraint. Center means you are not living only from the neck and chest. There is an axis, a place to return to, tandem. Rhythm means breath, pacing, recovery, and the ability to not rush the whole system all day. Restraint means not every effort is intelligent. This is one of the spaces where Japanese philosophy differs from a lot of modern self-optimization culture. Western culture often rewards more intensity, output, stimulation, visible effort. On the other hand, Japanese wisdom often respects appropriateness, enough force, enough speech, enough food, enough action, not because small is better. That principle is not weakness, it is regulation. And I think many people today do not need more power. They need less waste. The body is not just for performance. It is how you live. It is not only for metrics, not only for aesthetics, not only for output. It is how you live, how you carry stress, attention, and how you meet pressure, how you recover and return. So let me leave you with simple takeaways. Posture reset. Notice where the body collapses and where it overworks. Second, breath reset. Exhale to regain space and reduce internal noise. Third, center through tanden awareness. Bring your attention back below the chest, below the neck, below the mental stone. Find your emptiness in your lower navel. Fourth, reduce unnecessary tension. Not all effort is useful. Not all bracing is strength. Fifth, shift from resistance to response. Do not waste energy fighting your own body. Organize it so it can respond better. This is not fancy opportunity for transformation. From scattered to the centered, from stressed to regulated, from posture collapse to physical intelligence. Just wait to take a look at yourself from the different side. I hope you find something from the Japanese way of physical intelligence. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. I would love to provide an exercise snack. To start, grab your bicep and pull the skin to help the external rotation so your palm towards the outside and start arm curling about 20 reps. Make sure keep curling, not too fast, not too slow. Keep the constant movement going on. Keep curling. Keep curling, keep curling. 5 more. 7, 8, 9, 20. Now how do you feel your shoulder you just walked on? Next, find the sternum. Under your collarbone, slide down toward the sternum. Place your fingertip between first and second rib cage and keep pushing. Now, opposite shoulder, lift up and down 10 times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Keep applying the pressure with your fingertip. Not too strong, not too weak, but keep pushing. Now, I want you to make a circle. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. How do you feel? Move your shoulder. You feel the difference? Good. Now, above your collarbone, find the triangle area with your two fingertips, index and middle finger. Apply the pressure, not too strong, and then tilt your head to the opposite side. 2, 3. Do you feel stretch? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I hope your side of neck released a little bit. Next, grab your trapezius area. You don't have to grab too strong. Just pinch the skin. And then circle with your arm. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now opposite direction. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now, how do you feel? I want you to compare both sides. Now we apply exactly same thing to the opposite side. Grab your biceps, pull the skin, guide your shoulder to the external rotation, and arm curl. Not too fast, not too slow. About 20 reps. Keep going, keep curling. You're gonna rewire your brain to your muscle. 5 more. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Good. Now find the sternum from your collarbone. Slide your fingertip toward the collarbone. Find a spot between first and second rib cage. Apply the pressure with your fingertip. Make sure you want to apply pressure with opposite side of your arm. Lift your shoulder up and down 10 times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep applying the pressure with the fingertip. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now move your fingertip from under your collarbone to the above your collarbone. Find the triangle area. Apply pressure with 2 fingertips. Index and middle finger. Tilt your head to the opposite side. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do you feel the stretch? 9, 10. Good. Keep breathing. Now, grab your stiff shoulder part, trapezius. Just pinch your skin and then make a circle with your arm. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep pinching your skin. 8, 9, 10. Good. How do you feel so far? Are you enjoying my exercise snack? Alright, now we're gonna move on to the neck. Those who have a straight neck or bad posture, your head is pulled to front, so we need to release that. I want you to find 2 bundles of neck muscle, sternocleidomastoid, SCM. Cross your arm, find the bottom of SCM, apply the pressure with 2 fingertips. Relax, deep breathing, drop your shoulder and look up. You feel your front of your neck is getting stretched 10 times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Feel your good stretch. 8, 9, 10. Now we're gonna apply the same pressure diagonally. Same thing, cross your arm, find the bottom of SCM, apply the pressure, and look opposite way. If you're using the right hand of fingertips, apply the pressure on the bottom of SCM and look up to the opposite side. 10 times. Take your time. Feel your stretch. Keep going. Keep going. 9, 10. Good. Now we're gonna work on the opposite side. Find the bottom of the bundle of the neck muscle, SCM. Apply the pressure. Look up, opposite side. 10 times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now how do you feel? You look up to the ceiling easier, right? Without compensation, you can look up easier. Now we have to re-educate the back of your neck muscle. It had been stretched out. So what we're gonna do is look up 45 degrees upward and downward. You look up and look down. At the same time, I want you to use the side of your index finger and tap your chin. And as you tap, vibration goes to the back of your neck. That vibration makes the muscle contract. Small contraction. Tap, 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 tap. I want you to go 10 reps. Not too strong. Look up and keep tapping as you look up and look down. Keep tapping, keep tapping, keep tapping, keep tapping, keep tapping. Now we're gonna apply with opposite hand. Keep tapping, keep tapping, keep tapping. Look straight up and down. Tap, tap, tap 10 times. We stretched out. We feel good. But after 1 hour later, your body come back to the bad posture again. So we have to re-educate our brain, rewire our body and mind. I hope you enjoy my exercise snack. Let's finish up with parasympathetic nervous system activation. Lift your heel and drop your heel and exhale as you tap on the ground. Drop your center of gravity, feel your tanden, lower navel. Good. Now you can exhale longer. Thank you so much.
In the nutrition upgrade, How Food Rebuilds Energy, Metabolism, and Longevity, we welcome Natalie Needham.
Hey folks, this is Natalie Needham for the 12-month System Upgrade series inspiring the Earth 2.0 movement. Today, I'll be speaking to you about nutrition, specifically how food influences your metabolism, your energy through your mitochondria, your aging rate, and your longevity. And you're going to walk away from here with a few very easy to implement tips at the very end that you can start today or even tomorrow, depending on the time of day you're watching this. Now, before we launch, quick show of hands. How many of you have felt tired in the afternoon even after you got 7 or 8 hours of sleep the night before? How many of you feel like your energy just isn't what it used to be 5 or 10 years ago? Now, here's something that might surprise you. That feeling isn't just about getting older, and it isn't about willpower or discipline. It's really about what's happening inside your cells, specifically inside tiny little structures you may have heard of before called mitochondria. Think of them as the little battery charges inside every one of your cells. When they're working well, you feel energized, clear-headed, and resilient. When they're struggling, you're struggling. Everything feels harder. And the most powerful thing that influences how well those battery chargers work every single day is, you guessed it, food. Not supplements, not gadgets, food. What you put on your plate and what passes your lips 3 times a day. And that is what we're talking about today. So let's think about a new way to talk about food. Most of us grew up thinking about food as calories. It's about fuel, right? Eat too many calories, gain weight. Eat less calories, lose weight. That's about it. How many of you know that that is really not that simple? Okay, but here's the thing. At a foundational level, that model is decades behind the science. Here's a much better way to think about it. Every bite you eat is a message to your body. It tells your cells to either speed up aging or slow it down. It either feeds the processes that keep you healthy and energized, or it quietly chips away at them. Food doesn't just fuel you. It communicates with your genes, your immune system, your hormones, and yep, those mitochondrial battery chargers. The good news? You don't need a PhD to upgrade your nutrition. You just need to know which foods are sending the right messages, maybe which foods are not. Now, here's the problem. Here's what's silently working against you: the ultra-processed food problems. Hear me out. Let's name the elephant in the room here. Ultra-processed foods now make up more than 50% of daily calories for most North Americans. And here's the bad news. They are the single biggest driver of premature cellular aging, which means premature aging of people. Now, what counts as ultra-processed? Packaged snacks, fast food, most breakfast cereals, flavored yogurts, sugary drinks, commercial baked goods, deli meats with long ingredient lists. Basically, if it has more than 5 ingredients and contains things that your great-grandmother wouldn't recognize as food, and probably you don't even recognize as food, it counts as an ultra-processed food. Now, here's why it matters so much. Ultra-processed foods are engineered to be convenient and delicious, really delicious, but they are stripped of the very things that your cells need to make energy: vitamins, minerals, and natural plant compounds. They are also loaded with refined sugars and industrial seed oils that trigger inflammation, which directly damages your cellular machinery. And the numbers are striking. People eating the most ultra-processed food show 28% faster cognitive decline compared to those eating the least. Harvard research found that high UPF, that's ultra-processed food, intake is linked to a 4% higher risk of early death and an 8% higher risk of dying from a brain-related disease. Holy jumpin'. A large 2025 study found that people eating more UPFs had slower walking speed and weaker grip strength, a direct sign that muscles' energy systems are underperforming. That's nuts. These are direct markers of aging here. Now, this isn't about vanity. It's not about how you look. This is about staying sharp, strong, and independent as you age. But I will say that most people who eat whole natural foods tend to look better than people who eat a lot of processed foods. Anyway, let's talk about our next topic, which is the blood sugar roller coaster. Here's the big problem: unstable blood sugar. You do not have to be a diabetic for this to be affecting you. When you eat a lot of refined carbs and sugars, white bread, pasta, pastries, sweetened beverages, your blood sugar spikes and then crashes. Each spike triggers a wave of inflammation. Each crash triggers cravings, brain fog, and fatigue. Repeat this 3 or 4 times a day, every day, and your cells, especially your mitochondria, take a beating. The good news is this is one of the most fixable problems through food choices. Now, I wanted to give you a quick word about grains. Grains should be a sidebar, not the main event. Now, hear me out. Before we talk about what to eat more of, let's talk about something the nutrition world hasn't really been honest about: grains. Most of us have been taught since childhood that grains, bread, pasta, rice, cereals should be the foundation of every meal. The old food pyramid, thankfully the old, not new food pyramid, put grains at the base. Most dinner plates are built around a starchy center with everything else around it. Now, here's the problem with that. When grains dominate the plate, they crowd out the foods that are far more nutritious. So let me give you an example. A cup of cooked white rice, while delicious, gives you about 200 calories, minimal vitamins and minerals, and very little protein, and literally no healthy fats. A cup of roasted broccoli at the same calories also gives you vitamin C, vitamin K, folate, fiber, cancer protective compounds, and more minerals, all at a fraction of the caloric load. When half your plate is rice or pasta, there's simply less room for vegetables, quality protein, and healthy fats. And these are the foods that actually deliver what your cells need to thrive. We call this nutritional displacement, one food taking up the real estate that a more nutrient-dense food could have occupied. And look, this isn't about demonizing grains entirely. Like whole grains like oats, quinoa, brown rice, barley, legumes, and legumes aren't even grains actually, like brown rice and barley, they all have real benefits, especially compared to refined grains. Studies have also shown that eating whole grains regularly is associated with lower risk of heart disease and overall mortality. And legumes, things like lentils, beans, and chickpeas, are arguably the most underrated longevity food on the market. But the key word here is moderation and sidebar, or even portion control. A small serving of whole grains or legumes alongside a plate dominated by vegetables, quality protein, and healthy fats, that's a spectacular meal. A plate that's 60% pasta with a spoonful of vegetables on the side, that's working against you guys, not because the pasta is poison, but because of everything that's missing. All right, so let's create a bit of a reframe for your plate. The old model might have been a base of grains, a small amount of protein, token vegetables. Our upgraded plate: Vegetables as the base, half the plate, quality protein, about a quarter to a third, depending on where you're at in your nutritional needs, and a small amount of whole grains if you choose to include them, and maybe a bit of legumes to feed your gut, and some healthy fats drizzled all over everything. So you see how we've shifted everything around. All right. That's enough for that. Now, here are our heroes. Let's stop talking about what we don't want to do and talk about what we do want to do. The foods that actually upgrade your cells. Here's the good news. These are the foods that your mitochondria, your cellular battery chargers, genuinely respond to. Foods like colorful vegetables and berries, nature's cellular protectors. The pigments that give fruits and vegetables their color, the deep purples, bright reds, dark greens. These are bioactive compounds called polyphenols. They're not just antioxidants in the simplistic sense. They actively switch on the body's own protective systems. Foods like dark leafy greens, things like spinach, kale, arugula, Swiss chard, are very rich in magnesium, one of the most common deficiencies and one that directly impairs energy production. Plus, they also deliver things like folate, vitamin K, and natural plant compounds that reduce inflammation. Now, quick word here. For spinach, kale, and Swiss chard in particular, we generally want to eat those at least lightly steamed to help to make them more nutritious and bioavailable. Next, we have cruciferous vegetables, things like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and my favorite, broccoli sprouts. These contain sulforaphane, which activates the body's master antioxidant system, protecting your cells from oxidative damage that speeds up aging. Next up, delicious, beautiful blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, even pomegranate. These are some of the richest sources of polyphenols. Regular berry consumption is associated with slower brain aging, better insulin sensitivity, and reduced inflammation. Pomegranate specifically contains compounds that your gut bacteria can convert into a molecule called urolithin A. This is one of the most exciting longevity discoveries in recent years and has been shown in clinical trials to support cellular cleanup processes that help to keep mitochondria healthy. Our next category, onions, garlic, leeks, shallots. These contain quercetin and allicin, which support the immune system and have anti-inflammatory effects. Allicin from garlic is also one of the best studied natural compounds for cardiovascular protection. Maybe not for your breath, your dating game, but really good for the rest of you. All right, next up, quality protein, the building blocks you simply cannot skip. Protein is not just for bodybuilders. We know this. It is the raw material from which your body builds and repairs virtually everything, including the protein complexes that make up your mitochondria. Also, even though we're not bodybuilders, as we age, we want to keep and maintain that muscle. So protein's super important for that. Now, eggs, if you tolerate them, arguably the most complete bioavailable food on the market. They are rich in something called choline, which is critical for brain health and the integrity of your cell membranes. B vitamins, healthy fats, and a complete set of amino acids. If you're going to add only one food, add eggs. Next up, wild-caught fatty fish. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, anchovies, especially fish that lives in cold water. These deliver omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA, that reduce systemic inflammation, plus B vitamins and CoQ10, a compound that plays a direct role in cellular energy production. We want to aim for 3 servings a week of these. Next, organ meats. Okay, I know it's a sensitive topic, but especially liver, the most nutrient-dense foods that exist. Beef liver is nature's multivitamin. It is loaded with B12, B6, folate, iron, copper, CoQ10, and preformed vitamin A. What does preformed vitamin A mean? It means it's in the form that your body can use. Even once a week makes a huge difference. We want to figure out a way to incorporate this into our diet once a week. Next, we have legumes, lentils, chickpeas, black beans. These are excellent plant-based protein paired with fiber, magnesium, and slow digested carbs that help to keep blood sugar stable. One of the most consistently longevity associated foods across all major research. Now, you'll want to have a little bit of your grain on the side with those legumes. Okay. Now, again, for those of us who are sedentary, we're going to need less of the grain, more of the less starchy foods. But especially if you're a very active person, you can really tolerate this stuff. And the beautiful thing about legumes is that they provide fibers and starches that feed your microbiome, which is also critical to your longevity. All right, healthy fats. probably the most maligned and misunderstood micronutrient. For 30 years, we were told to fear fat. That advice has, for the most part, been reversed even by science. Number one, extra virgin olive oil, the most researched longevity food in the world. Anti-inflammatory, rich in polyphenols, protective for the heart and brain. Use it freely, within reason, drizzle it on vegetables, and use it as your primary cooking fat, not at high heat, of course, kind of low to medium heat, but definitely finishing dishes with extra virgin olive oil is a beautiful thing to do. Avocados, rich in monounsaturated fats, potassium, magnesium, and B vitamins. They also help you to absorb fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, and E, and K from the vegetables that you eat at the same time. Next category, nuts and seeds, walnuts, almonds, pumpkin seeds, flaxseed, chia. Walnuts especially are rich in omega-3s and polyphenols. Pumpkin seeds are one of the best food sources of magnesium and zinc. A small handful a day is all you need. Okay, so you could do like mostly pumpkin seeds with a few walnuts, beautiful snack. Now, here's what we want to cut out or reduce. Industrial seed oils, canola, soybean, corn, and sunflower oils that are used in most packaged and restaurant foods. Because why? Because they're cheap. And also they're high in omega-6 fats, but and all omega-6 fats aren't bad, but these highly processed industrial seed oils give us poor quality omega-6 fats that when we consume them in excess relative to omega-3s can promote inflammation. So you want to do your best to cook at home with extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or even butter or ghee if you can afford it from grass-fed sources. If you can't afford the grass-fed, don't worry about it. Just buy the best that you can afford. All right, let's talk also about when, because it's not just about what. Timing is everything. You want to be able to give your body and your cells a break. This one actually costs nothing and it requires no new food purchases. All you want to try and do is this one thing. Try to stop eating 2 to 3 hours before you go to sleep. When you stop eating for an extended period, even just 12 hours, which is overnight while you're sleeping, your body shifts from digestion mode into repair mode. Cellular cleanup processes switch on that remove damaged cellular components and build new, healthier ones. Blood sugar stabilizes, inflammation drops, energy is noticeably better in the morning. For most people who try this, it's a beautiful thing. Now, you don't need to do an extreme fast. That can come later. Start with simply moving your last meal or snack earlier in the evening, and then you don't eat again until the next day. Many people notice a difference even within a week. All right, here's our action items. These are the things you can start doing right away. Here's how you actually start. Number one, flip your plate. Starting at your next meal, put vegetables on half the plate first. Preferably more, especially if you're not very active, vegetables that grow above ground. The vegetables that grow underground you're going to add them too, but you're going to do less of them if you're more sedentary, more of them if you're more active. Then protein on about a quarter of your plate or a third of your plate. We want to aim for about, a minimum of 1 gram per kilogram of healthy body weight. For most people, I would say 1.2, 1.4. And it goes up from there depending on your goals and your energy and your activity status. All right. Then if you're going to eat any grains, they're going to be the small supporting player on the remaining quarter. If you're eating a starchy food, something like a sweet potato, maybe you can have a little bit more because guess what? That sweet potato is going to give you way more nutrition than something like a rice. Okay. That's it. One shift every meal. So start with vegetables. Add your healthy protein, your healthy fats, and if you need it, some starch and some grain or something on the side beside that. But start with everything else and save that grain and starch for last. If you don't have room for it, you don't need it. All right, so here's an example of what this can look like. Instead of pasta with some vegetables stirred in, try a large bowl of roasted vegetables, and instead of the pasta, replace it with something like spaghetti squash. Looks and feels a lot like pasta, but much more nutritious and a whole lot less of that starchy stuff. And then give yourself a generous portion of protein. Instead of a sandwich as the main event, a large salad or vegetable base with some sliced freshly cooked meat or eggs, and maybe half a piece of maybe some sourdough bread on the side if you really need it. And instead of cereal for breakfast, give yourself 2 to 3 eggs with sauteed greens, half an avocado. If you have to have it, a small amount of sourdough toast, but I would invite you to consider maybe a little bit of sweet potato on the side instead, roasted sweet potato. It's delicious. And you will really, I promise you, you will enjoy it. And if you want to add some extra protein to that meal, you can add a small piece of fish, like a small piece of salmon, or smoked salmon to it. I mean, now we're getting into the fancy foods, but even a small piece of salmon or canned salmon would be fantastic with your breakfast. All right. Add 1 polyphenol food daily. Don't try to overhaul everything at once, guys. Just commit to adding one of these to your daily routine. A small handful of blueberries or raspberries, either for your breakfast or for a snack if you need that. A cup of green tea in the morning or maybe with your lunch. A tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil on your vegetables at lunch and dinner. A small handful of walnuts as your afternoon snack instead of something packaged. Half an avocado at any meal. Each of these is a small action that sends a meaningful, positive message to your cells. All right, third thing you're going to do, you're going to pick one ultra-processed food to replace this week. Don't try to cut everything out at once. I mean, if you're an all or nothing person, you can. But for everyone else, just pick one. Just one item you eat regularly that is ultra-processed, whether it's a snack, a sugary drink, a breakfast cereal, whatever, and replace it with a whole food alternative, any one of the ones that we've discussed above this week. Easy swaps for you. Instead of sweet and flavored yogurt, get some plain full fat or Greek yogurt with a handful of berries. Instead of packaged crackers, have some cucumber slices or celery with hummus or nut butter. To replace your sugary breakfast cereal, 2 eggs scrambled with whatever vegetables are in your fridge. And after that afternoon sweet snack or chips, have some dark chocolate, like over 70% is ideal, with a few walnuts. All right, number 4, set a kitchen close time. Pick a time, let's say 7 or 8 p.m., and make sure that your kitchen is closed. All you can have at that point, water, herbal tea, always fine, but the food stops. This single habit, stopping eating earlier in the evening, I have seen do wonders for people. It activates the body's repair system. It improves sleep quality and reduces the chronic inflammation that drives aging. Try it for 10 days and notice how your morning energy changes. All right. Number 5, ask your doctor for these 2 tests. Most standard blood panels miss the most important early warning signs. What you want to ask for: fasting insulin, not just fasting glucose. This is the earliest indicator of blood sugar problems, often appearing years before anything shows up on standard tests. And most doctors won't order it unless you ask for it. Number 2, get your vitamin D levels checked. Approximately 70% of us are deficient. Low vitamin D quietly undermines energy production at the cellular level. Know your number and aim to optimize it. So vitamin D, you can optimize with, yes, a supplement for those of us who live in northern climates. And for those of you who are lucky enough to live in the sunshine, early morning sun, late day sunshine, it might be enough to get your levels up. And if not, you might just have to take a supplement. All right, guys, here's what I want you to leave with today. You are not stuck with the way you feel right now. Your cells are dynamic. They respond to what you feed them, and they want to work for you. All you have to do is start with your very next meal. Flip your plate, add 1 real food, set a kitchen close time. These are not dramatic changes, but they are the changes that add up to a decade of better energy, sharper thinking, and a body that stays with you for the long haul. Remember, food is the most powerful medicine that you have access to, and it's available to you 3 times a day. Use it wisely and reap the benefits. Thank you so much for being with me here today. I hope you enjoy the rest of the summit. You have 12 months of incredible content coming your way. Hope to see you again. Thanks again. This is Natalie Needham for Earth Summit 2.0.
And we are back, beautiful friends. I have something to tell you. Today, let's slow it down for a moment because there are things that affect our body in every day that we cannot see. And because we cannot see them, we often do not even think about them. And so this is the conversation about EMF, electromagnetic frequencies, that I've struggled with my whole life. First, I struggled with the belief that it even exists, that it does something. But then I lived in Houston, Texas a few years ago, right next to a 5G tower, and I could not sleep. I had this chronic anxiety, and I was healthy as I am today, but I could not figure it out until I looked into EMF. And so today we've got R. Blank, who is the leading expert in EMF protection and the founder of Shield Your Body. He's got a global brand dedicated to reducing everyday environmental stress from technology and all of these EMFs. After decades helping thousands of people around the world to create a safer, more supportive environments for their nervous system, sleep, and long-term health. R, welcome to this, and thank you so much for sharing your wisdom.
No, thank you so much for having me, Pavel. It's wonderful to have a chance to catch up with you.
Yes, and you're one of the angels that we call the Earth 2.0ers. If someone wanted to, have a start in a simple way, where would they begin? Then what are the highest impact areas in somebody's life? So that way we understand what changes people can actually notice and feel, when they offset it.
Yeah, the phone. For 98% of humanity today, it is your phone. And to be clear, right, anything that runs on power and anything that communicates wirelessly is a source. So we're surrounded by tons and tons of sources. So why am I saying very confidently that for the vast majority of humanity, the phone is the issue? And the reason is because it's not just the power of the signal, right? It's not just how strong your Wi-Fi is. It's how far away from your Wi-Fi you are. Because the power of EMF radiation diminishes exponentially with distance, right? So if my phone is an inch away from my body and it's emitting all this radiation, and now I move it so it's 2 inches away from my body, I have reduced the power of my exposure by 75%. And if I then double it again to 4 inches, it's another 75%. This is real science, measurable. It's called the inverse square law for anyone who cares to look it up, but EMF follows the inverse square law. And the problem with phones is not just that the companies have specifically designed it for you to hold them like this. It's that when you're not holding them like this, you're putting them in your pocket directly adjacent to your gonads, often for hours every single day of your life. And so when it's right there, because there is no distance, you are getting the maximum possible dose of radiation that this device can emit. And you are getting it for extended periods of time throughout every day of your life. And so that is why I confidently say that for the vast majority of humanity, the number one source of exposure that is completely within their control is their relationship with their phone.
And I think that goes into psychological, emotional, like it's definitely one of those things that distance is the kink when it comes to, any of this. And I would also add, your phone has a Bluetooth, and Bluetooth goes straight into your ears. And so I know you also done some immense research on how to protect our brain, right?
Yes. Yeah. So, well, the first thing to do to protect your brain is never do this. If I'm occasionally in my life, I'm running through an airport and I'm trying to catch a flight and I get a call and my headphones aren't, I like hold up the phone to my head real quick. I'm like, oh, make this quick. And I feel really bad about it for the rest of the day. So occasionally I do it, but never do this. Always use wired headphones. Like you said, not Bluetooth. Always use wired headphones or speakerphone mode, or just text, which is increasingly popular too. And when I say wired headphones and not Bluetooth, I don't have any that I can demonstrate for you because I refuse to buy them, but they're like having 2 mini Wi-Fi routers directly adjacent to your brain. And it's a part of your head that Yeah, excellent. It's at a part of your head where there's no skull, right? To pretend, right? Because the ear canal, there's no skull in the ear canal. And so there's not even any bone to provide any degree of natural shielding. And it's another one of these things where people, I see them, they tend to just walk around with them throughout the day so they can look and feel as cool like they're on Star Trek, where they can go, yep, talk to me. Yep, you know. And but it's really bad stuff. And what people need to understand is this stuff is not tested for human health before it is released to the public. We are going to fully know the health impact of Bluetooth earbuds or AirPods in the next 5 to 15 years, right? Because they've only actually become popular more recently. And these more concerning diseases that everyone cares about, like glioblastomas and other types of brain tumors, these take decades to form. You won't know in a week if it's causing that kind of damage. This is all released without any testing into the long-term health effects. So that's why I mentioned wired earbuds instead of wireless earbuds. And any type of wired earbud is going to be orders of magnitude safer than a wireless earbud. But further to your point, you can take it a step further and consider air tube headphones. So this is a pair of SYB air tube headphones. And unlike regular headphones, right, they convert the sound into air, right? So the part that actually connects up to your brain has no wire running through it, because wire itself can conduct bits of radiation from your phone up to your brain. And so by switching the medium from wire to air, you're getting rid of that conductor. And so these air tube headphones, anti-radiation air tube headphones, are safer even than wired headphones. And so that is how I recommend approaching that side of like actually having to speak on the phone.
Yeah, no, thank you. And so for those of you listening, we today laser focus on the two major parts, phone and replacing your Bluetooth headphones. Now, in that, of course, there is Wi-Fi, there is, 5G towers everywhere. There is the Tesla cars, being in the, electric vehicles. There is appliances. So in that, we actually have a whole webinar that we can share with you with R that goes into depth of all of this. He's a wealth of knowledge. Also check out his book. I think it's amazing. And what he has done for our community, for our summit, is something incredible. We have literally an absolute stealer deal. You can buy this phone pouch as well as the ear tube headphones, both together as like your starter kit. Only for $49. So right below, you can see our link or QR code on the screen, because highly suggest start with the one that is most closest to you. We literally don't sleep with cell phones when we go to sleep with my wife. I mean, we keep it away. And then check out the rest of the offerings that he has. So that way, just like you have a dental hygiene, there must be an EMF hygiene. If you want to feel energized, if you're done with feeling fatigue and having chronic stuff, autoimmune stuff, that all gets triggered by this, and we know this. So R, thank you so much for the wealth of your knowledge, and I'm so excited to share this with our community.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Pavel. This has been great, and I look forward to sharing more in the webinar and in future events.
Thank you.
Sweetie, what are you doing? Ring, 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 ring.
It's
time
that
to wake
time
up.
of the day, okay? The midday nap, and I am doing it with the Shield Your Body alarm. And guess what, you guys? Even though our phones are so powerful, it is one of the most disruptive things that you can have next to your bed. EMF, electromagnetic frequencies that we've just shared with you, is one of the most detrimental part in our society right now. The way it's used, the frequency, how. And of course, we have a lot more of this education in our school that you can learn a lot more on this.
I was gonna say, like, I love sharing like the inside views. And something that we do that's super special and sacred to me is that we don't allow any phones in our bedroom anymore. We actually put them in this sleeve that completely shields the radiation. And it's just, we kind of had this conversation where it's like, we just don't want that interference in our room. And so before we go into bed, we put our phones in this pouch outside of our room and we plug them in. They stay in there. And then inside our room, the sleep hygiene goes as follows. We have a complete Faraday cage around our bed. So no Wi-Fi, EMFs, anything can come into that space. The Wi-Fi router is automatically turning off at that time. So we have it set where it doesn't go on at night. And we set our alarm on an old school alarm clock from Shield Your Body, because one of the main reasons people keep their phones by their bed is for the wake up reminder, and let's bring it back. And then they've got a ton of other really cool tools.
Oh yeah, like phone cases, air tubes for ears.
Yeah, we don't use Bluetooth headphones anymore because that's like radiation, right? It's almost as bad as holding your cell phone to your head. And if you have AirPods,
or put your head into a microwave, you know, it's literally what's happening.
Yeah.
And anyway, so EMFs are a huge piece of this, and this is why, again, we wanted to find a path, a marketplace that can cover all of the major parts.
Yeah, a person we can really trust with science-based evidence that it actually is doing what it says it does, and it does.
Speaking of partners, we have another dear brother of mine, Noah Late, that's going to share with us one of the most hidden portions of our health. And before I tell you what it is, so Noah, actually, we come from very similar background. He's also been through a Wim Hof training. He, totally took charge of his health. He's been in the medical world where he's been helping clinics and clinicians around the world with healing protocols for all of these hidden, disease. And we've been kind of in touch this whole time. And then when this mastery came about to have the full lineup of the most incredible people that we found, boy, Noah is one of them. And as we move forward, we begin to look at what's emerging.
And with that, he's going to speak on peptides and regenerative medicine, how to accelerate healing, recovery, and human optimization.
Hi guys, this is Noah Laith for the 12-month System Upgrade series Inspiring the Earth 2.0 movement. And today I'll be sharing on peptides. I've been prescribing peptides for more than 20 years. I've been part of a clinic and a lab that produce peptides, and I'm involved in the production part and the research part. And back in the days, 20 years ago, when I used to inject people or myself or my parents, people thought they were steroids. They are absolutely not. Peptides, I'm going to explain you what they are, why you need them, when you don't need them, how to use them, how to choose them, and how to find a doctor or test a doctor that actually understand them, because there's a big difference between actually using them and feeling the effect of the usage of peptides. So what are actually peptides? Peptides, you see, they're not building blocks for your body. You don't add anything. They only ignite a process, a cellular process in your body to activate certain receptors. Yes, so there's a short chain of amino acids, and they are the body native signal molecules. That's what they do, nothing else. They're not hormones, they're not drugs, they are only information carriers. And they already exist in your body. They are bioidentical, and they already exist in your body, and they are being used for many reasons, right? Therapeutic, to heal, there are more around 250,000 peptides in your body, right? So from your gut to your brain, from your skin, they are from hormones, they are for libido, they are for digestion, they are for brain, they are like literally almost every cellular process in your body. Peptides are there to give the signal to amplify or downregulate the signal, right? So you have to see it like this. If, for example, your hormones, right, are the volume dial, right, like to magnify or not, peptides are kind of the playlist, right? They tell when to do what, right? Is it evening? Is it morning? Is it night? Is it, are you sleeping? So why would you actually even need peptides? Well, you see, 100 years ago, life was simple and being ignorant was a blessing. Today, unfortunately, you've been attacked by different ways, and your detox organs, your body is not used to so many toxins coming into your body, right? And these toxins can come from sleep deprivation, they can come from water, microplastics, they can come from pesticides, herbicides, they can come from 3G, 5G, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. So why people then are deficient in these signals? It can be from chronic stress also. It can be from poor sleep. It can be from gut dysfunction, right? And aging obviously degrade the peptide signaling. Someone who's 15, 16, 18, 20 will have a faster and better healing process than someone who is 40 or 50 or 60, right? So peptides, they kind of repair that signaling of reparation, right? To tell you, buddy, hey, buddy, let's do what life took away from you. So your body, when you are inflamed, when you're aging, your body stop receiving these repair instruction that it needs. So that's what I call a peptide plateau, right? Not from lack of efforts. Some people come to us and they are training hard, they are eating healthy, at least to a certain degree, to see some type of effect, but still the biological communication between what they're doing and the result they want is not optimal. So how peptides are created? Like now, you see a lot of people, it's a hype. A lot of people are using it. You have first to understand that peptides are not a hype. Insulin, that has been discovered more than 120 years ago, is a peptide, and it has been used clinically since 102 years. So peptide has been there for a very, very long time. You just didn't know that they were peptides, right? So how do they come? Like how do we create peptides? There are three types of peptides. There is synthetic peptides, like synthesized. I mean, they're all synthesized in a lab, by the way, but they are synthetic. There are biological peptides from yeast, for example. This is the one that I used mainly. And there are then organ-derived peptides. And these are much, much harder to find. The only country that actually produce in scale, in mass, is Russia. Now, Russia is the epicenter of peptide research and creation and production. Most people don't know that. That's why when I speak to doctors, medical doctors, about peptides, which, by the way, in medical school, we never get taught about peptides, very, very little. So when I speak to them and they tell me, how can you prescribe peptides and protocols with peptides in it to your patient? We don't have enough research. Well, we don't have enough English research. We have only around 12, 13 English research that's public on PubMed or other medical websites. There are 41,000 Russian and Croatian research. So it depends who you ask and which language you are reading, right? So that's one of the reasons why I go often to Russia to learn about it. And one of my mentors was Dr. Kevinson, God bless his soul. He died 1.5 years ago. And he was the private anti-aging doctor of Putin, the Russian president. So in the last 50, 60 years, he focused on immunity, on cancer, and many other, but these two were the foundation of his research. And we've learned a lot about immunity and cancer. And that is, last November, it has been 23 years that I did not get sick. Not a flu, not a cold, not because I go from hot to cold, not because suddenly I go 50 degrees difference between one country to another, or if I'm eating something unhealthy or unoptimal, I don't get sick. And the reason is also peptides, not only peptides. So you have to think like peptides, they're magnifiers. They're like money. You get blessed by making a lot of money, and if you're a good person, you become a better person. Peptides, same thing. You do the foundation, then peptides are like magic. You think, holy shit, I feel it in my brain, I feel it in my libido, my erections, my skin, you feel it everywhere. You don't, I said, yeah, I mean, I've tried peptides. Yeah, I didn't feel what everyone's talking about. Well, that's because you did not do, there can be actually many reasons. Number one is because you didn't do the foundation. Number two is because you didn't take pharma grade peptides. And number three is because you didn't have the right protocol. Yes, there are some contraindications. There are supplements that negate or amplify peptides. There are peptides that also negate or amplify other peptides. Some 1 plus 1 is 3. Sometimes 1 plus 1 is 0. So you also need to understand these nuances. And that's why I always say, if you're going to take peptides, always pharma grade, never for research purposes only. I've seen everyone, and by the way, 99% of what's online is for research purposes only. They're from India or China. And they're only tested on purity. So you read the COA, the Certificate of Analytics, and it says, yeah, 99 point something purity. Purity doesn't mean anything. There is also something called stability test. There is something called endotoxin. There's something also called microplastic and heavy metals, right? There are many type of tests, and stability is one of the most important because an unstable peptide is a non-active peptide. So you're buying a very expensive injection, right? So that's why for me, it's pharma grade is a must. For a couple of $100 extra, you get a pharma grade peptides that with no side effects, with no negative side effects. And I've seen a lot of people, especially in the last 10 years, getting hospitalized because of peptides. And you have to think like this. It's not if you stop the injection that, or if you take it orally or nasally, if you stop taking the peptides, then suddenly the effect stop. No, because they are signaling molecules, that signal can stay for a very, very long time, right? So you do definitely want to do pharma grades. Why people use mostly peptides? They're mostly for 3 reasons. Number one is repair and recovery. There are very specific peptides that will repair your joint, your skin, an injury, a muscle strain, a ligament, and they are very specific for that, right? One of the most famous one is BPC 157, is the most research, right? TB 500 also. But there are many other peptides. Ipamorelin and CGC 1295 also is a very good combination if you're younger than 35. If you're above than 35, your own growth hormone production, which what IPA and CGC does, is kind of stalled. And that's why people come to me and said, I've tried IPA and CGC and it didn't really work. Yes, that's because your own bank account, remember, peptides are only signaling molecules. They tell your body, hey, produce more of your own peptides. And if your bank account of hormones is empty or almost empty, you're not going to feel based on IPA and CGC, and you need to have another peptides that actually is exogenous, right? Like HGH, for example. Very powerful. In a microdose, it's amazing. So a lot of people tell me, oh, but peptides, they upregulate the risk of cancer. You have to think like this. I can kill you within 5 minutes if I make you drink 5 to 10 liters of water. So your kidney stop working and you're gone. So the devil is in the dosage. Yes, you can have a very heavy reaction from peptides, and it can be an amazing experience with peptides. So number one, repair recovery. Number two, reason why most people use peptides is metabolic signaling. What does that mean? It means losing weight, building muscles, having a higher metabolism, losing fat, mostly using fat. And most people know it as Ozempic or Mounjaro, which is the GLP-1s. Now, the good news and bad news. Unless you are morbid, have obesity in a morbid way, I will never prescribe any type of GLP-1. We have now GLP-3s like retatrutide that are more efficient and better for your body with no side effects, actually only positive side effects, right? Because they work with different pathways. So Big Pharma, unfortunately, they wanted to create a product that's cheap and they have to make their money back. Well, guess what? Tirzepatide and semaglutide are not the best GLP-1s, are not the best ways to lose fat, are not the best way to upregulate your metabolism. There are much, much better ways. And my advice is always to work with an expert in peptides. The third reason why most people, I call the pillar of peptides, is cognitive and mental. Oxytocin, CMAX, C-Lank, and many other types of peptides that will upregulate your brain connection and neuroplasticity. And that happens not only in the brain, by the way, that happens also in the gut. So I use a lot of peptides for the gut to upregulate the neuroconnections and plasticity. What is also important is how to store them, right? A lot of people, they think that they need to be always cool. Yes, definitely. But your rule is never put them under the sun. They die way faster. They become way more inactive, faster inactive in the sun than in room temperature. Obviously, out of good practice, I always put them in the fridge, 10 degrees Celsius. So a lot of people also ask me, if they are so good, if they have so much benefit, why my doctor don't know about it? And I said before, because medical doctors are not educated about peptides. And the reason is, unfortunately, money. Why money? Because peptides are bioidentical to your body, they're natural, and you cannot put a patent on it. And that's why pharma and medical schooling system and education system did not teach doctors about peptides, right? As I said, you can take them the good way, you can take them the wrong way. There are contraindication. You want a protocol, you want pharma grades, and you want someone to guide you, right? What are my favorite top 5 peptides? BPC-157 injection, BPC-157 oral, amazing for the gut. And nowadays, unfortunately, many people have a problem with the gut. KPV, amazing for your gut lining. Ipamorelin and CGC, if you're younger than 35. If you're older, I will advise HGH. Retatrutide, also, I love it. And then Epitalon for autophagy, for sleep, amazing. CMAC and CLANC, also very good for your brain. Oxytocin, very good for your mood and your brain. And then one of my favorites also is MOTS-C and AOD. MOTS-C, amazing for your mitochondria. NAD+, which is not a peptide officially, but it's a cofactor of peptides, also amazing for your mitochondria. And the difference between you and your 8, 10, 12-year-old nephew that's jumping around and you think, where the fuck do they get all this energy from? It's your mitochondria. So you do want to optimize your mitochondria every day of the year, right? Through food, through sleep, through nutrition, through training, and through peptides, right? Now, a lot of people tells me I want a peptide, and then I do the blood test, and I tell them, brother, sister, you don't need peptides. You need first to optimize your hormones and detox your inflammation. Because a lot of people, when they take peptides and they tell me it doesn't work, well, because that peptide is being used to put you on the baseline. So you don't want to use peptides. You don't want to use an astronaut, a NASA scientist to teach you basic math. You want to use them to teach you the higher. Same with peptides. Peptide and stem cells and exosomes are your NASA scientist, are your very smart guru, and you don't want to hire these gurus to teach you basic stuff. You want to do that by yourself. So how to do that is optimizing your gut through nutrition, training, but the most important, why we are doing this, is because of your hormones and your toxins. The hormones and the toxins are the 20% of the 20% that will give you the highest ROI on your efforts. So you want to upregulate your hormones and you want to upregulate the detoxification of your heavy metals and toxins and microplastic. Once you do that, then you add peptides and then the magic happens. And hormones, especially hormones, if you upregulate to an optimal level your hormones, that's when the peptides will become more bioavailable into your body. And it will work in an amazing way. So I always start with the foundation. And the foundation, how happy I am to promote and to talk and to educate and to sell and to prescribe peptides, it's not peptides. It's hormones and toxins. Yes, but they are very interconnected with peptides because the bioavailability of peptides will go up if you do these foundation stuff. This is my short introduction into peptides. It's not rocket science. Obviously for me, because I've been doing it for the last 20 years, it's not something new. And my advice to you is do it the right way. Your health is not worth to experiment. Find someone that can guide you with it. And the prolonging of the health span and lifespan and upregulating today so that longevity is a byproduct will be amazing if you do it the right way. Good luck, and thank you for listening into this amazing series of the Earth 2.0 movement. Now, if you want to know more about peptides, and if you would like to dive deeper, once every 8 weeks, my wife and the medical team and I talk and go much deeper in a 1.5 hour session that is available for everyone who wants to join and to learn about peptides.
So huge thanks to Noah and his team. And again, we're going to share with you guys, if any of you is ready to uncover whatever hidden disease might be going through, or just looking to expand your longevity, He is the man. I have so many people always come to me and asking me, what to do with this and that. And anytime it's a very kind of a tough case, I immediately send them either Dr. Sam or Noah, depending on what they're currently dealing with. Now, that being said, we have another angel, and this angel has helped thousands of people around the world with his incredible podcast, The Way Forward. Alex Zek has been altering the trajectory of all of our belief system, from his Confluent Summit to his incredible podcast, all the way to the immense amount of research he's done in the field of virology, which is what today will be about. And by the way, this will be just like an insert. This is about 15-20 minute conversation. The full conversation will be actually inside of school because we didn't want to keep it too long for you guys, but we want you to have this because it will blow your mind. Are viruses even truth to begin with? Is germ theory even truth to begin with? And this is what's so crazy. We're trusting and giving power to all of these health institutions that we might be having it all wrong to begin with.
Yeah, at some point, it's really important to question things that even seem ancient, things that our grandmothers even believe, right? Because where did it come from them? So without further ado, we welcome Alex Zek on questioning where does viruses come from, what is immunity, and what is it all about?
Beautiful friends, welcome to the second episode of the Earth 2.0 Global Activation Blueprint to Healthy, Happy, and Harmonious Life. Today, I have someone very special. I call him my dear brother because this incredible human has been changing lives of so many, whatever it's through his podcast, his education, or just his truth, his calling to truth. And so Alex Zek is a health educator, speaker, and founder of the Way Forward global community dedicated to exploring health sovereignty, natural healing, and critical thinking in a modern medicine. Through his work, Alex encourages people to question conventional narratives around disease, immunity, and the human body, while exploring alternatives, perspectives such as the terrain theory, biological resilience, and environmental health. His mission is to empower individuals to take responsibility for their own health by understanding the body's natural intelligence and environmental factors that influence disease. Now, dear friends, buckle up because we're going to uncover a lot of truth. This might put you into a place of crisis just for a little bit. So remember to stay with your breath, continue, regulate yourself, because there are some big lies that we've been taught that we're going to discover today. We're going to be reframing the contagion paradigm. And furthermore, I want to welcome Alex Zek.
Thank you so much for having me, man. It's an honor.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe, we've known each other now maybe for a little over a year, and since we discovered you, we were just at awe with what you're doing out there for the community, and it could not be a better connection to the Earth 2.0 community because we're all here breathing the same air, going through the same issues. And I want to start it with a light question, and that is, what are you most excited about today, and where are you kind of heading?
Oh man, I think I'm just really diving into how much our beliefs, thoughts, and feelings are implicated in our own health, like the way that our body expresses, but then also possibly the nature of reality itself. This is maybe for a separate conversation, but when you explore the nature of water and some of the work that has been done by the likes of Gilbert Ling, Dr. Gerald Pollack, Veda Austin, Masaru Emoto, you come to the conclusion that water is so much more magical than we've ever been led to believe. And given we're largely comprised of water, all biology is comprised of water, and the nature of reality is comprised of water. And given what they're showing regarding water being impacted by thought and feeling, it leads you down some pretty wild rabbit holes regarding how much we can impact, again, not only our own physiology, but the nature of this entire reality.
Yeah, I cannot concur more. And we are made up of water, and it fits so well into mastering our physical body's health. And I know, everyone has this like pivotal moment. And for those of you guys that haven't heard of Alex's work, would you be so kind and just in short share Where was that big pivotal moment that brought you into sovereignty, brought you into the work that you're doing today? Because I know you have an amazing story as well.
Yeah, so in 2016, up to that point, I was quote unquote a normie. I just believed all the mainstream stuff. I was actually about to graduate from the United States Military Academy at West Point and commissioned as an Army officer. So to say I was indoctrinated is almost an understatement because I went to the world's preeminent government indoctrination camp, the United States Military Academy. So up to that point, my mom had been under the care of conventional psychiatrists for nearly 10 years. And then my wife, who I just got married to just after graduating, had been under the care of conventional rheumatologists for nearly 7 or 8 years at this point. And my mom was ill to the point that we were actually looking at permanently institutionalizing her because of her various psychiatric issues that she was dealing with. And we were, quote unquote, trusting the experts because we thought they knew best. And these psychiatrists had prescribed her multiple psychotropic medications over the course of several years. And her health was getting worse and worse. And by chance, she was seeing a therapist who was reading a book that had just come out called A Mind of Your Own by Dr. Kelly Brogan. And for those who don't know, Dr. Kelly Brogan is a psychiatrist who has basically wholesale rejected modern psychiatry, including psychotropic medications like benzodiazepines and SSRIs. And my mom made an appointment to see her. And again, we were looking at institutionalizing her. And after making an appointment to see Kelly, where my mom began a very natural approach to health in 2016, she began to heal drastically. After seeing her begin to heal, we decided to try the same thing for my wife with her quote-unquote autoimmune illnesses she was dealing with, lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. And then my wife began to drastically heal. And we actually made an appointment to see her rheumatologist after we taper her off all of her medications. She's feeling better than she had felt in nearly 10 years. And got her blood work tested, and her blood work showed that the inflammation levels in her body were normal for the first time in nearly 10 years. And the doctor kind of came in and said, well, whatever drugs we have you on seem to be working, so let's stay with those. And we looked at him and said, we're actually not on any of the drugs. We did the exact opposite of what you recommended. And now she's finally healing. And there was no intellectual curiosity on his part. It was kind of just like a shoulder shrug and, okay, looks like you don't need me. So from that point forward, roughly, late 2016, early fall 2016, I began going down all the rabbit holes related to health, which led to pharmaceutical corruption, which leads to questioning the government itself, which leads to questioning everything. So by the time that 2020 came around, I had already done a significant amount of research on a variety of topics. And I had not done research on the topic that we're going to get into today, but because I'll just go ahead and share. In early 2020, so many of us were shown this imagery coming from Wuhan, China, of people dropping dead in the streets, people wearing hazmat suits, all this crazy stuff happening, right? And then I was actually very worried about that too initially. And I was texting my friends and family, knowing what the end goal would be, knowing that it would be for mandatory, you-know-what. I think I can say that on the show, mandatory shots for all people, but legitimately thinking that they had successfully created something in a lab that was being released that was going to cause mass death across the world. And then when it supposedly broke landfall here in the United States, and I wasn't seeing the same thing as the imagery I was shown in Wuhan, China, I started to go into a state of cognitive dissonance and sort of realize, like, wait, that had to have been propaganda because what I'm seeing and experiencing is nothing like that. In fact, had I not been told something, I would have never known that there was anything different going on. And I was benefited to live in Oklahoma at the time where most people are skeptical of government anyway. So after the first 2 weeks, most everyone was behaving as if nothing was going on. And because of that, there was no widespread panic amongst Oklahomans for the most part. So it wasn't matching with my reality. And then at the same time, I was exposed to a guy by the name of, two guys actually, Dr. Thomas Cowan and Dr. Andrew Kaufman. And they were discussing the possibility that there actually was no virus whatsoever, whether man-made or naturally occurring. And it was absolutely shocking to me. I almost rejected it. But because my experience was sort of matching some of the things that they were saying, I decided to give it a look. And once you look behind the curtain, so to speak, with respect to the field of virology, and then also the idea that germs are causative agents in illness, and you actually look objectively, you realize that there's not sufficient evidence for those premises. And It is shocking at first, and then of course a lot of questions come up, like how do you explain this? How do you explain that? And we can get into all that today.
Yeah, I so resonate with that, and I also think it was a disease of the mind, which obviously is our next episode we're gonna dive into. But for so many of us, the physical body is so tangible, right? And so many of us are questioning that. And really, this is speaking to people that have ever had, any sorts of viral disease, any sorts of even flu, autoimmune. I mean, we're all going through it. It has been an epidemic, even outside of the epidemic that we've seen
Yep.
in the past. And so, for more than a century, modern medicine has largely been operated under the framework of germ theory, right? And the idea that pathogens are primary cause of disease. And what are some of those questions or inconsistencies that led you to explore the alternative perspectives, and what was that like pivotal moment for you besides that?
Yeah, so I could get into the weeds on virology, get into the quote unquote submicroscopic details, but I've actually come to understand over the last 2 years, you don't even need to necessarily go there. Because if you just simply look at the various attempts to demonstrate the idea that healthy people become sick when exposed to sick people or their bodily fluids, which is a separate category from 2 or more people getting sick in the same space with similar symptoms, right? That is a real phenomenon where 2 or more people in the same general area get sick with similar symptoms. But the idea that healthy people become sick when exposed to sick people or their bodily fluids is entirely unproven. And that might be shocking to some people who are just hearing it for the first time. But a friend of mine named Daniel Reuters published a book in 2024 called Can You Catch a Cold? Untold History in Human Experiments. And you can find that on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And I highly recommend reading that book. But just some high-level info from Daniel's book. In the countless historical attempts to demonstrate this idea, again, that healthy people become sick when exposed to sick people or their bodily fluids. And what we're talking about is colloquially known as germ theory, right? Which, by the way, just as a quick aside, is actually incorrect. It is the germ hypothesis, and given what I'm about to share, it's actually the failed germ hypothesis. So now we need to go back and figure out what might be the cause of 2 or more people getting sick in the same space, given this hypothesis has failed. So in Daniel's book, he looks at over 200 historical attempts throughout history trying to demonstrate this idea. And in the overwhelming majority of attempts to demonstrate that healthy people become sick when exposed to sick people or their bodily fluids, there was 0 contagion demonstrated, meaning no one got sick in most of the results. Actually, the modal or most frequently occurring result was 0 contagion was demonstrated. Now you might say, okay, well, there was some that demonstrated this, right? Yes, with a lot of asterisks and a lot of context. So, in the attempts where healthy people did become sick when exposed to sick people or their bodily fluids, any 1 or more of the following occurred. I'm just going to share this on my screen real quick from Daniel's work.
And this might be very shocking for some of us, and I know your sensor is probably on, but that sensor is something that we have to apply to everything, because the truth is, whatever we're seeing any narratives on a TV, it is not of our highest good. Generally, it's a faulty information that we have to swift through and filter through. And so what we're showing you here is not that it's wrong or it's against. We're actually showing you what a true data and validation means if we actually look beyond the curtain.
Right, exactly. And I think with so many of these health-related claims, it would behoove of all of us, first off, to not, quote unquote, trust the experts, but to go validate. We had this phrase in the Army that I actually still use today, trust but verify. Sure, like even trust some of the people who are listening, or who you're listening to on this summit, but verify. Go actually look for yourself, explore for yourself. I'm not saying to trust me. I'm saying trust yourself and go look into this information for yourself. So, according to Daniel's research, the overwhelming majority of these studies, again, failed to demonstrate contagion. And like I said, for those that did show healthy people became sick when exposed to sick people or their bodily fluids, any 1 or more of the following occurred. The study did not include a placebo control group, and that is really relevant. I'll share in a minute why that's so relevant. The study was not blinded. Unnatural methods of transmission occurred. As, for example, a lot of people will cite studies that are done on animals, quote unquote, animal contagion models, claiming to demonstrate that disease is transmitted between animals and say, well, this happens in animals and it must apply to humans. The problem is, if you go look at any of these studies, I'll give you an example. So with the alleged proof that, or evidence rather, that polio was a transmissible illness, here's what they did. They took spinal cord fluid from someone who had died of polio. And again, what we're trying to do here is distinguish between cause and effect. Obviously, the effect, polio, whatever those symptoms were, is real. Just like measles, the effect, the rashes all over your skin, that is a real effect. What we're trying to ascertain is what is the cause of that effect. So what they did is they took spinal cord fluid from someone who was sick and had died of polio, mashed it up, centrifuged it, and then drilled a hole inside a monkey's head and injected that fluid into the monkey's head, and then the monkey died. And that's what they will cite in order to claim evidence of contagion. In some other examples, for example, when they have attempted to demonstrate that pertussis is the cause of whooping cough. Being at the site of illness does not mean it is the cause, especially when you come to understand that bacteria is there to bioremediate. Bacteria is there to clean up decaying tissue. So that being said, these scientists were attempting to demonstrate that the pertussis bacteria was the cause of whooping cough. So what they did was they took monkeys in a cage, rhesus macaques, and injected them with absurd amounts of fluids from a sick person who had the symptoms of whooping cough. They found the bacteria there, right? And then they had monkeys next to them in a cage right next to those monkeys that were injected, another set of rhesus macaques. And those monkeys became colonized with the bacteria by being in proximity to those that had been injected with the fluids, but they never developed symptoms of illness. So they found this supposed pathogenic bacteria in the monkeys that were next to the other monkeys who had been injected, but they never developed symptoms. So again, that's pointing to, okay, the bacteria is at the site, but it's not the cause. And we can get into a little bit more of that later. With that being said,
big thanks to Alex Zek, and as we mentioned, you can see the whole interview inside of our school community. It's under the episode 2, Earth 2.0 Global Activation. So please go find it there.
Yes, our team is going to drop right now in the comments the links to where this is going to be. Remember, this is live, so we are going to upload this after this is airing. So if you don't see it right away in that folder, bookmark, save that page, because that's where it's going to be in the next 24 hours.
And so let's take a moment and notice what has shifted.
Today wasn't about giving you answers. It was about opening your awareness.
And bring you back to yourself, to that full, healed, natural body system temple, the hardware. So that way, we can expand the software, the mind, which, by the way, will be the following episode.
Yes, and as we always started and as we always end it, we're going to come back into group coherence. Whew. The closing ceremony is always my favorite. It's always so powerful. I always say this, the ones who are here, you guys are the real ones. You made it to the end. You get the real what do you say, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow?
It's the full 360 because what we've learned, we're gonna now bring it, embody it, and bring it through the physical body, through the breath, through the sound, through the power of this state of coherence. This is when the template keeps on heightening an experience of that deep vortex that we're opening up around the world. This is the most important part, the opening, the closing. And in the in-between is what you're ready to receive. But that is the integration. This is the piece.
Yes.
If you have headphones, please feel free to lay down on your back. This is that time that you want to really go inward. One last time.
We'll see you at the closing.
And my dear friends, wow. What a day. What an experience. What an honor to be here with all of you. We're so blessed to have you here, taking charge of your physical body's health. How much more important the time can be than spending it on yourself. So those of you incredible warriors that have spent the whole day with us,
We're so grateful. This means the world to us because it means that the world can now shift amongst all of us. More of us are starting to claim their health. All of the collective health can come into place, and that transformation can be embodiable and it can happen. That being said, I would like to do this beautiful final closing meditation. This is to come back into that state of cohesion that we all started with today, and to embody, ground, and receive all of those gifts. That being said, whatever you are, we're going to use the headphones again, and let's just start with activating. Just start shaking off your body. If you can, even stand up, just jump up and down, and just allow all the electricity to come back to you. Maybe make a monkey sound. Just have fun. This is one of our favorite things in our in-person events. We make sounds because we can, just like the monkeys when they release. Shake it all off. Tap your left part of your body, your arms, your right. Just say thank you, thank you, thank you, my body. Let it all seep in. Just allow all of the sitting energy to move, all of the meridians, reactivate all of your cells, and just pause it right here, wherever you are. Bring your hands into this position where you connect the tips of your fingers and place your hands around your heart, as if you've had this bubble of energy in between them. And first, just imagine all of the circuits of electricity rebalancing. Sense the left, right brain hemisphere fully clearing, as if the symbol of infinity was coming in through your heart, around you, and back. Allow this symbol to perfectly reorganize, reharmonize all that we've been through today. And together, we simply inhale for about 4. And exhale as long as you can, the sound of hum. Let your body regulate again. Inhale. Inhale. And make the sound of hum. And imagine yourself fully connected, teleporting again somewhere in nature that you have been in the past. Sense all of us present, surrounded by trees in a forest, and imagine yourself sitting and having a big tree right behind you. Sense how the tree is pulling, taking anything residual. Sense how it's also powering you. We give love through each inhale, we generate. And you give with exhale as a natural flow of love. And this is a perfect representation. As we inhale, we receive love from nature. And as we exhale, we feed nature with love back. Sense how each and every one of us have its own tree. But through the roots, we're all interconnected. Just like in life, when we walk out of this session tonight, we're all gonna have a tree and a way to communicate with one another.
We strengthen the field with each and every breath. Relax your body. Ground your body. And start calling all of your energy back from all the people, all the places, whatever you've left it, any of the thoughts, anything you've learned. Just collect yourself in a form of color. Whatever color comes to your mind, just invite that color as a direct sense of who you are back to you. Filling your mind, body, and emotions with you. Now let's reverse that. And I want you to visualize whatever you can remember from today, going backwards from the last recording. And just take this time to observe all of that information of which is of your highest good. Connecting through some of the main things that you've learned that you want to integrate. Connect. And just simply save it like a file on a computer. This is the best way to memorize. This is the internet, where you can open those files up anytime you wish, for no matter what you care for, and learn how to use your mind like a tool to simply put those information in where it belongs. Have this file of your physical health. Open it and start saving from each and every lecture that you can remember. As you're storing it in, just remember, you can always go back to this visualization. You may even connect it to a color so you can remember how to pull it in from the subconscious mind when it's required. And you can even set the intention. May I remember, integrate, embody any of these tools of which are for my highest good. My dear subconscious mind, make this happen. Lock it in. Yes, yes, yes. Simply say yes, yes, yes. That's how we speak to the unseen. Everything is energy. More we learn how to focus the attention through the energy, more it can work for us rather than against us. And sense how we're all connected with the trees in the middle of forest, and sense like almost an avatar, like Iowa, all of us lightening up with these golden webs of light around Mother Earth. Sense how we have people from Australia, Asia, Europe, US, Canada, South America. Sense all of us intertwining like a flower of light. Breathe into that. Now ask for any exchange of which is of your highest good. So that way all of our energies can support one another. We can communicate like a beautiful mycelium, all around the world through the electricity, thought, feeling, knowing. Breathe into this and sense that there is a little console member, little being of light right in front of you. And that being of light is taking you on a little path. Imagine yourself walking this path. And as you're walking this path, you're starting to sense a little hut in front of you. I want you to step inside of the hut. And there is a table right in front of you. Sit by the table with this member of council, this beautiful being of light. Start speaking to that person, being, as if it's your best friend. Some people call it guardian angel, guides. It can just be a representation of something greater that's fully connected back to God, Source. And ask for any support, any healing. Ask for connection, so that No matter how hard life might get again, you're always supported. And they're pulling up a little wish list, little piece of paper. Imagine that piece of paper in front of you and them, and start writing to your future self. Maybe a year from now, 10 years from now, whatever number comes to your mind. And start writing from the future self to your current self now. Imagine the ink. And then simply start, my dear, such and such. It is an honor to know you, to be with you. And you continue. What do you want to write? What is the next step that you're going to take? How you're going to show up? What advice you're going to give to your current self from this elevated part? Maybe after this recording, you may even write it in a physical world to remember. Ask for direct, step-by-step instructions of how you're going to be at perfect health, perfect balance, perfect expansion. Sense this beautiful letter. Sign the letter. And I want you to submit this beautiful letter to this higher council. Ask them, please help me accelerate all of my dearest wishes. Help me heal fully. Help me reactivate all of my energy centers, all of my DNA back to its natural blueprint, to be able to step into the Earth 2.0 and more. Record this, feel this, see this. And slowly, as you finish up your letter, let us all move all the way back into this circle. And imagine all of us holding hands in this circle, celebrating one another. Feel that pulsation through your hands, holding hands with your neighbor. Feel the left, feel the right. And first, imagine a golden sun coming into the center of the circle. And connect from the solar plexus, this cord, into the sun. And imagine this battery. What is the percentage between 0 to 10 of your physical vitality? And as you're connecting it, ask the solar energy of limitless potential to refuel your physical vitality to 100% or more. Sense that battery fully recharging. When it's complete, simply disconnect. Bring it back to your solar plexus. Now connect to your heart. And imagine this cord connecting to the solar energy for your emotional charge. Sense the battery. What percentage are you operating right now? And imagine it restore, recharge. With each and every breath, the relaxed body receive. Slowly fill it up and bring it back home. Now connect into the center of your brain and imagine this cord coming in through the solar energy and connect to your mental energy. Sense the battery. What are you operating on? And fully refuel it. Let it all recharge you, restore you. And now, slowly bring it back home. And now move into the area about 2 feet above your head. Connect to your energetic body. Send this cord into the center of solar energy, of source energy. Imagine that battery and fully refuel your energetic body now. Sense how much more aware, energized, vital you're becoming. And when it feels 100+ % disconnected back, and imagine all of your energies are fully rebalancing, restructuring, reharmonizing, and connect your thumb and point finger together and tap. Simply state, as you're tapping from the mind to the water system of your body, system reset. Perfect balance now. Your body knows what a balance is. Allow it. System reset. Perfect health now. Speaking from the mind, the software, to the body, the hardware, to the water system that carries information. Just like a computer, you hit the enter, you reset back to baseline now. System reset. You finish the dots. What do you want to reset back to? Perfect energy, sleep, perfect cellular health, brain. Trust this. At first, it might be just your words, but then you will start feeling maybe a little twitch, little tingling sensation, vibration, because everything communicates. Every time I get anxious, anxiety, any sorts of disruption, I simply system reset back to baseline now. My dear friends, set any last codes. Feel the presence of all of us. Feel the silence and solitude. Because I want to give you a huge thanks. We have officially finished our second episode of the Earth 2.0 Global Activation. My dear friends, thank you, and thank you so much for being here. And we're gonna have one little final remarks on the next with Ferry. Slowly open your eyes and slowly come share with us in a chat. Thank you. Thank you, dear brothers. Thank you, dear sisters, for being with us all this way, all this long. We're so honored for your presence.
Yes, and remember, the real work is integrating it into your life, and we're here to help you with that. We've built a whole school community integration hub called the Earth 2 community. Many of you probably came from there, but if you haven't yet, we're gonna go ahead and drop the link in the side here. We've got plenty of resources for you in there, whether it's nervous system, regulation, the system reset protocol. And of course, if you missed parts of this, or you want to watch the recording, or you want to share it with friends or family, this blueprint is sacred. You can find that inside our Earth 2 community, where you can get replays. Anytime as a premium and VIP member, you also get our live calls, where we're on these calls weekly with you guys. We're bringing experts. We're also doing integration. We're doing masterminds for our VIP members, where you guys are getting one-on-one with masters in the field, as well as us, where we're putting you in the hot seat. We're helping you bring these tools home, and we're connecting you with the right tools and resources to live in that Earth 2.0 lifestyle. So what I mean by this is, a lot of people come to us and they say they have been in these frequencies, they've seen it, but they're having a hard time staying in that place. We really hold you accountable to that. And with that, a lot of people come to us saying that they are feeling lack of purpose, like they're just going through the motions, like they want their life and their work to be making a legacy, an impact, creating something like a wellness center or something that really lights them up. And in these places, in these VIP spaces, these VIP calls that you get, we're really connecting you with the tools and the resources and the people that you need to bring your ideas to life. That's the whole point of creating a community where we have the keys for each other and we can connect each other and make these ideas come into fruition. It's a co-creation.
Now let's bring it all back. So today we've learned about the circadian biology. We've learned about nutrition. We've learned about supplements, detox. We've done an exercise. We've done some sound healing. And so these are the different pillars that we've covered today that makes our body feel whole, feel healthy, and especially in our toxic environment. So remember, you may go and replay this anytime you wish inside of the school community. In the classroom, think about the school community as the integration hub, as the implementation hub. So we have a group of integration specialists. We're also very reachable. You can message us there, ask us questions. Our whole mission is to unite the world, one person at a time, through all of these incredible tools and processes that we have. And so this is why we reversed and engineered. What does it mean to live, or what is the blueprint to Earth 2.0? So today, it was the me individual consciousness, focusing on your physical body's health. The following month is all about the mind, our belief system, ego, thoughts. And if you're anyone, like I used to be, overly thinking, analyzing, constantly in the past, in the future, don't know what to do with this monkey mind, aka the monster inside, mind is supposed to be the biggest tool for you, not against you. Mind is supposed to work just like a little billboard. When you're driving on the streets, you have a choice. Are you going to look at the billboard and read what's in there and apply it? Or are you just going to keep on passing by using your mind as this tool for simple creation? Or, you want to book a flight. You want to transfer between bank accounts. We need mind. But unleashed mind is the biggest problem that is causing us anxieties, depression, that is causing us fear and guilt and all of the pain that we're experiencing. And so if you are ready to get handle of your mind, that is our next month's recording. We're going to fully dive in, bring the world's leading experts about belief system, thoughts, and healing methods, how to finally step back into the driver's seat of your mind to connect it with the body. Mind is the software, body is the hardware. Now we're integrating and we're moving further into this blueprint.
Yes, and go ahead, get your questions ready. We're going to be opening it up for you to ask your questions and we'll answer them here.
Thank you all so much.